Well, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2022 New South Wales 3,000 metre Championships live stream. It's always the unofficial kickoff of the New South Wales distance running season, the State 3K. I think over 500 entrants today. I'm Matt Whitbread for Athletics New South Wales, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in commentary, James Constantine. Welcome, Jimmy.
Welcome, Matt. Thank you very much, everyone, for having us on your monitors, phones, or wherever you might be in New South Wales or otherwise. It's been a fantastic day so far. We're kicking off proceedings here with the men's E-race. So we're up to sort of some of the higher grade races here. We went all the way down to the L race this year, Matt. 12 men's races. Fantastic to see. Over 500 entries. A couple of community races as well. Kicked off just after 2 o'clock. So it's been a wonderful day so far of distance running.
Got a special guest coming in soon as well for the commentary. We'll keep you posted on that. But as Jimmy mentioned, we're due to get underway shortly with the men's E-race. We'll just get this race started and then show you a start list. But we'll be taking you all the way through the E-races, all the way through to the men's and women's championship races. And there's also a couple of very hot 800 metre events today as well. And it won't have been a false start, I can tell you that, in a 3K, but I suspect an issue with photo finish. So while they're doing that, we'll just show you the start list for this men's E-race very quickly. And we won't read all of the start lists out tonight for the 3K events. There's about 22 in each of these fields, but we'll take you through the championship fields a little bit later on. But that there is your E-race start list for the New South Wales 3K champs tonight, as we look to get a start. Total entries, Jimmy, for the day?
507 we got, I think, which is about the same as last year. Last year was an explosion on previous years. We went, I think, straight from 400 to 500 plus, and we've maintained that this year, which is just a fantastic result. You can see the spectators as well. There's been a really good turnout around the venue and in the grandstand today, as the gents are heading off in the men's E-race.
So we'll just have a skim through this field. Aaron Houston, Alessio Parisi, Liam Gollidge, Cohen Morgan, Thomas Giles, Ben Graham, Josh Ems, Todd Peters, James Brewer, Maclay Kesby, Cameron Iverson, Darcy Carlos, Will Hayden, Joel Solomon, Huon Groves, Moses Fowler, Matthew Radvin, Adam Schaefer, Archie Daly, Idris Burkhardt, Anthony Ricci and Travis Fairweather. So, as I mentioned, 22 in most of these fields here this afternoon and this evening. I think about 20 in each of the two championship races. And a nice little addition to the program, Jimmy, with the 800 metre events added as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a men's and women's A and B race just to split up the 3Ks, but also gives a really good opportunity to some of the 4-8 specialists, particularly the 800 metre runners who aren't stepping up to the 3K. A lot of them do, but it's good to the competitions team is offering those 2-lap races. I think everyone who entered got a start, which is fantastic as well. So we'll see a couple of hot races before the 3K B races for the men and women, and we'll conclude with the men's race, second last race, with the women's championship race last on the program today. So the Kembla Joggers athlete James Brewer is currently leading this E-race with Idris Burkhardt, I think that is. Yes, it is, from Cherrybrook. He sits in second at the moment. Let's go through about 1:45 through the 600 metre mark.
Lovely shot there, just of the ES Marks facility. First major event here for Athletics New South Wales, back for quite some time here in the east. The track recently resurfaced, and the conditions, Jimmy, probably a bit warm at the moment, but it's an absolute sparkling day in Sydney.
Yeah, it is warm out there. I can tell you that. I ran the F race. It's tough because we've had quite a cool winter, and even the days that we've experienced in September and October so far have been quite cool, or cooler than usual. So to come out here in it is a beautiful day, but maybe slightly more beach weather than 3K weather thus far. It's been fairly challenging, and quite a few of the times have been, say, a little bit slower on average, I'd say, than than probably the personal best for a lot of the athletes so far. So if athletes are getting towards their personal best today, it's quite a impressive run, as we've just had change at the front of the field. Cohen Morgan for Maitland goes through. The boys are through about 3 flat here, so solid start for this men's E-race, with James Brewer of Kembla Joggers still sitting in second, and I think one of the Scots athletes there just moving to third, Will Hayden, the short figure there.
The last time the event was at this track, I think, was probably 7 or 8 years ago now. I remember Jordan Guzman won the first of 3 straight New South Wales 3K titles for him, 7:58 on this track, and then eventually down to, I think, 7:56 and 7:52 at Sopak. One of the events that really put this race on the map and made the 3K champs what it has become in New South Wales.
Yeah, he really did, and he was one of those pioneers of the sub-8. I don't know how many athletes were going sub-8 before Jordan, although in saying that, Ryan Gregson ran a couple of very handy 800s as a junior. I think he might still have the New South Wales junior record around about that 7:52, 7:53 range. But yeah, he certainly brought it into, I guess, the modern era in terms of going well under that 8-minute mark. And even though we haven't had, I guess, the times in those 7:50s, apart from maybe Zach Facchione a couple of years ago, it's certainly brought these championships to another level in terms of the prestigiousness of winning this race. And, you know, I think it's fairly safe to say, outside of the New South Wales Open Under 23 championships in March, this is probably one of the more coveted titles you could win, particularly as a distance runner. So, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting men's championship race. I'm really looking forward to the women's race as well. Matt, as you said before, we'll get to the previews in a little bit of time as we move throughout the program tonight, but it's a fascinating race with Holly Campbell, Ainsley Van Graan, the defending champion, and Neve Allen, Jayla Hancock Cameron, Jess Noble. It will be an awesome race, and the men's race super open. We actually don't have any of the medalists from last year's men's championships joining us here today, so a very good opportunity for someone from last year's field to step atop of the podium. As a little bit of a breakaway here now with Cameron Iveson of Gosford, that is. So he's assumed the lead, and Travis Fairweather of Bankstown Sports joins him with Cohen Morgan. So those three have just broken away now, 3 laps to go. So they've made a little bit of a move and gapped the Kembla Joggers athlete in 4th, James Brewer, now just assuming the lead of what's become a chase pack. So these three out and away by about 10 or 12 metres at the moment from the rest of the field. And we are joined by a special guest. This is a surprise because I didn't actually mention anything on social media. Laura Roderick is back with us after her All Schools debut. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you very much. Yes, making a return. Surprise return. So no one could kick me off. That's why we didn't announce anything, so no one could complain.
Well, out of you and Ainsley, I only really had one choice. You told me you weren't running, so in you go to the third commentary slot.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us. I just mentioned before, pretty good beach weather. I think you might have seen some rays.
Yep, I have indeed. The face is burnt, but that's okay.
Main thing is you're here, as getting towards the later stages now. 2 laps to go up on the board. So these 3 gents will have 3 laps to go. It's Gosford's Cameron Iveson, who leads from Travis Fairweather, and Cohen Morgan. And now Anthony Ritchie from the Delta Rain Project just sitting there in the pink and blue. He sits in 4th, but these 3 still have that 12, maybe 15 metre gap back to Ritchie in 4th. And one of the Athletics Wollongong athletes, Darcy Carless, now sitting in 5th. So ticking over 7 minutes, Fairweather of Bankstown now finds himself on the front. And they're operating just outside 3-minute pace at the moment. About 9:05 pace here for the men's E-race. We've seen some very good times in some of the lower grade races. I think the G-race might be 1 in 9:10, so really good depth here in the, I think this is the 7th men's race to be run today. So Fairweather with 500 metres to go is trying to string Iveson and Morgan behind him. Richie's trying to make up that gap for the Delta Rain Project in fourth, just ducking ahead, trying really hard. Fairweather's looking pretty good as they collect the bell in 7:54. So there's the shot coming up to 300 metres to go. It's the gold and green of Bankstown Sports as the field well strung out now. They're on the back straight. So Fairweather with 250 to go. Trying to kick away from Cohen Morgan, who's just trying to move around the outside of Cameron Iveson. Iveson just fending him off at the moment. Richie's still working hard. That's Will Hayden, the young Scots athlete, having a great run here as well. Aaron Houston of Orange just passing 200 metres to go as well. That's the rest of the field coming along, but now it's still the three. So Fairweather's trying to kick now. Coming around the outside is Cohen Morgan of Maitland. It's the Maitland athlete who's looking the goods here. He will take it. What a great kick. Coming down the F1. He's going to take the men's E-race in tick over 9 minutes. Fantastic finish there from Cohen Morgan. Fairweather will get second, and Cameron Iveson will come third. All those boys around about 9:02, 9:03. Great running there in the men's E-race, and a great finish to kick off proceedings for the live stream.
You always get those really close races here at the 3K Champs. Such big fields, and they're all obviously seeded. We inevitably get the big packs running together, and Laura, you'd know how much being in that pack helps tow you along in a race like this.
Oh, it's so helpful. It's so good to have a pack. I always find it interesting that you can have people seating themselves in these races and still getting those separate packs, because you kind of think that everyone's going to run together, but it strings out quite a bit. You can have people just doing some crazy PBs at events like this, which is always exciting. I think we would have had a few PBs down there today.
So Matt has just momentarily stepped out just to fix up one of the tripods of our cameras here. We've got 3 cameras here for today's live stream. One is the main camera, which is located at the finish line. Now just zooming in on the start line, we've got that back straight camera, which gets the front on view as the athletes pass the 200 metre mark. That is exactly it there. And then we've got that rail cam there, just as the athletes coming through to the 1500 metre mark. Thank you very much. Jackson Fitzgerald also doing a fantastic job producing today. Certainly takes a team to put on these live streams, unbeknownst to maybe a few people. It's not as simple as it looks. So we do hope you enjoy all the action. Thank you to those who are joining us on the Athletics New South Wales Facebook and YouTube pages as we're away for the first of our women's races of the live stream coverage. This is the women's E-race. We'll run through the start list. Claudia White goes for Bankstown Sports in 1, Lucinda Alder of Sydney University in 2, Olivia Sevilles of Athletics Wollongong in 3, Michaela McLean of Kembla Joggers in 4, Angela Jebb of Run Crew in 5, Grace McMahon of Trinity Athletics in 6, Lillian Miller of Katara South in 7, Rhea Singh of Randwick Botany in 8, Sarah Hussey of Sydney Striders in 9, Lauren Adams of Blue Mountains in 10, Stephanie Mishkuridnaya of Sutherland in 11, Mabel Dukes of Run Crew in 12, Ciara Casillas of Westfields in 13, Ashley Gardner of KJ's in 14, Isabella Mook of Westfields in 15, Ivy Kim of Barker Athletics in 16, Isabel Chudley of Sydney Athletics Academy in 17, Lisa Thompson of Byron Bay Runners in 18, Claudia Wilson of Ride Athletics in 19, Sienna Novak, Randwick Botany in 20, Lillian Bradley of Sydney University in 21, and Laura Bray of Queensland joining us from the Sunshine State in 22. And just a quick one, apologies with the clock at the bottom. I think we're about 10 seconds out there, so about 75, 76 seconds for the first lap.
And it's Isabel Chudley in first place currently.
Yeah, doing a good job. Quite a few Sydney Athletics Academy athletes have featured so far. It looks like we've got one of her teammates, I think.
Yes.
Just with her at the moment. So Sydney Athletics Academy 1 and 2. And I think that might be Ivy Kim. So, sorry, the Barker Athletics Club athlete, I think might actually be Sydney Athletics Academy athlete. So they sit 1 and 2 at the moment.
Ria.
And Ria Singh, I think from your group.
Yes.
Laura.
Yep.
Having a good run.
She's having a great run. Looking strong out the front there.
So 600 metres in around about the 2-minute mark. Again, for those just joining us, sorry, I just missed the clock by about 10 seconds. So that graphic on the bottom right-hand corner about 10 seconds out at the moment. Then comes, I think, Mabel Jukes just moving past Singh's shoulder into 4th with one of the Westfields athletes there. Might be Ciara Casillas, sorry. But lots of girls in contention early in this one as they're coming up into the 800-metre mark. Warm conditions here today, Laura. After seeing a lot of the graded races thus far, do you think that would be changing your mindset at all, possibly reducing or backing off the lap splits by a couple of seconds?
I think that's definitely smart. The heat takes it out of you more than you expect. And even doing a reduced warm-up is something that I think a lot of these athletes will be considering. Not being out there in the sun for as long as possible. Yeah, maybe even just if you do a 15-minute warm-up, bringing that down to 10. If you're going for 75-second splits, maybe it's going to be more of a 77 or a 76 to start with. Just allowing that extra bit of time just to account for that heat, because it's really going to drain these athletes.
Absolutely. These athletes don't have the humidity that you did in Colombia. But
yes.
were they some of the approaches that you took for some of the heat acclimatization and also in the Miami base camp?
We tried to. Sometimes it got a little bit hard when you were trying to do sessions and you didn't really know how much to back off. To be fair, I think a lot of us distance athletes realised we probably could have backed off a little bit more, especially in the base camp, because I personally probably got a little bit fried there, and then that carried through to Colombia where it was still hot. So it was just, there was a lot of heat, a lot of humidity. We definitely did revised our warm-up plans, reduced warm-ups, slower, kind of more tactical races, just trying to survive, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, no, good learning experience, that's for sure. And now being able to come back here, entering an Australian summer and knowing that this works, this doesn't work, will be very helpful.
Yeah, fantastic. It would certainly be better off for it. And of course, you're still only 19 years old, so
Exactly.
So much time to go. We'll check back in with the race. It is Ivy Kim of Sydney Athletics Academy and Mabel Jukes who have now separated themselves from the Westfields athlete. I think, again, that's Ciara Casillas. The athlete's only wearing one hip number, so unfortunately I might have to wait 200 metres to get confirmation as she comes around. She's just in the yellow top with the blue bottoms there. And the Katara South athlete now, Lillian Miller, she sits in 4th just off camera, or just on camera there on the right-hand side. But you can see that Kim and Jukes have got a pretty healthy gap to the rest of the field. So, sorry, it's actually Isabella Mook as we get a good shot of the bib numbers there. So that is the Westfields athlete, I think, just sitting in 3rd at the moment. But you can see this gap just starting to grow now. Kim doing a great job on the front, really controlling this race with Mabel Jukes just getting a comfortable sit on her heels. And a big chase pack of about 7 girls behind them. So they'll come down to collect 3 laps to go here, 1,200 metres to go. That's a nice shot that Matt's just put the camera in as Athletes are just passing the finish line. Move now for Bradley from Sydney University. Lillian Bradley has just moved herself onto the front of that chase pack. There's Angela Jebba of Run Crew. Gardner of Kembla Joggers just going through there. There's Rhea Singh after a quick start. Laura just starting to fade a little bit, possibly just feeling the effects of the heat.
I think so. I think the heat it's a challenge that affects people more than others. And that's okay. That's fine. Just got to know how to handle that. Maybe some water beforehand. I think a lot of athletes don't drink liquids before because they think they'll get stitches, but it's so important. You have to be hydrated, especially when it's hot like this.
Yeah, particularly in the 3000 as well.
Yeah.
It's very different to a middle distance race, as just getting a
Lisa Thompson there on the NSW board.
we did actually call her out on the start list, and I introduced her as Byron Bay Runners, but left out the convenient Athletics New South Wales Director title as well.
She's made the hop down from Byron Bay to come and compete today.
And her husband Josh actually ran in the F race as well, had a very good run as well. So both the Thompsons out, as Kim now has.
How'd you go? Who won?
Oh, mate, of course Josh won. He's a very fit man. My goodness, he's a really good runner. Actually, Byron Bay Runs doing some really good stuff. Running a couple of milers meets last season. So for those tuning in to watch Lisa go around, please keep up the good work up north. Yeah,
it's a growing club up there. I had a run on their grass track last year with them. Great little group, couple of coaches up there to take a one sport club, so lots of kids and also adults and masters up there. Lovely little spot too, right down on the beach there. One of the Sydney Athletics Academy athletes there. Is that number 6, Grace McMahon? Oh, Trinity.
Trinity, yep. That's the darker green strip, but back to the front of the field we go, and Kim. This is Ivy Kim of Sydney Athletics Academy. She's really strung out this lead now. Mabel Dukes is just starting to have to work hard to keep that second spot with Bradley and also Lucinda Older. There's 2 Sydney University athletes battling it out. There's Lisa Thompson on screen looking fantastic, Matt. They are a fit family, aren't they, the Thompsons?
Yeah, and I don't think Lisa might be saying I don't think her third baby is a year old yet.
Wow.
Or if she is, she's just ticked over a year. So
it's amazing.
Lisa, very impressive individual. 3 kids, works full time and makes time to contribute not only to the club but to NSW as well, and frequently commutes from up in Byron.
So here's Kim. She's got a 20-metre gap back to Dukes, and Lucinda Alder now sits in third. Lillian Bradley sitting in 4th, and actually Alder is just passing the shoulder of Dukes. Dukes just starting to fade now, and Alder is trying to track down Kim. She looks the best of the lot at the moment, and that gap is closing very, very quickly. This might well be time to perfection as we see some of the other athletes going through. This is the bell lap for them, and I just mentioned, Matt, our clock graphic is just 10 seconds behind, so just coming up to the 10-minute mark now for Ivy Kim. But have a look at Lucinda Alder of Sydney University. Can Kim, who's done a lot of work in the last 4 or 5 laps, hold off a rampaging Alder roaring round the bend? She's going to have to really kick to do so. I don't think she's got it in her at the moment. Can she respond? She does respond now. Look at this from Kim. Absolutely shuts the door on Alder there. Alder is trying to come back, but a wonderful kick from Ivy Kim. Didn't see that coming. She felt the presence of Alder, and she has absolutely responded.
Oh, but Lucy's
But Alder is coming back. Look at this, the women's E-race. If this is a sign for things to come, we're in for a heck of a night. 10:41. What a good finish from Ivy Kim and Lucinda Alder. Mabel Dukes finishes in 3rd in about 10:50. And the other Sydney University athlete, Lillian Bradley, yes, she finishes in 4th with Laura Bray of Queensland. She finishes in the top 5. Lisa Thompson just a tick over 11 minutes there, Matt. A fantastic run. She looks beat, but, you know, considering the drive down from Byron Bay.
I suspect it wasn't a drive, but,
okay.
But the flying can take it out of you as well. it is a warm day, as we've been talking about. It'll actually be pretty spot on perfect for the championship races later on. But one of the side effects of having so many, such a popular event with so many entries, over 500 for the day, is that you're starting very early in the day. And yeah, it's still pretty toasty out there. I haven't actually checked the temperature, but I'd say we're still well into the mid-20s. I'll just have a look now, and yeah, 24 still. And at least you're starting to get, as you can see on screen now, a bit of the shade over the track, whereas a couple of hours ago it was the full 400 metres in the direct sun.
Yes, I was certainly one of the beneficiary of that, and I can tell you it was really toasty out there. Anyone who's getting anywhere near their PB today is having a fantastic run.
Well, I mean, having said that, I think by the time we get to the championship races, it's going to be pretty well perfect. Because one thing is there's not a lot of breeze out there. You can see the trees in some of the shots we're putting out, and it's fairly still. I'm just looking at the forecast. Sunset not until 20 past 7. In fact, while we're just got this start list on screen, but we might show you the timetable while we're at it. That's the timetable for the rest of the night. So as you can see, the main event's going off at 8 and 12 past 8. And by that time, we're looking at 21 degrees and just having had the sun set. So assuming the wind stays down, that will be still maybe slightly warm than what you'd want for perfect conditions, but not much you could complain about.
Yeah, absolutely. We are in summer as well. We have to realise that we're in the final week of October. It's going to start to get warm at some point, and 24 degrees, to be honest, is actually not too bad. I think it's just the direct sunlight. We've had so many overcast days, and a lot of these runners we've been training on overcast or rainy days, so maybe just a little bit extra than usual, or biting a little bit more than usual is the sun today.
So this is our start list for the men's D race. Again, we won't read them all out to you, but another field of 22. And there's certainly big fields here at the 3K champs. You see them there lining up on the start line. Laura, just while we're waiting for this, tell us a bit about how your training's going and how the season's looking.
Well, my training was going super great. And then just on Tuesday, I just had a little bit of I guess, trip, and then my back just kind of blew out a little bit. So I feel older than my 19 years, that's for sure. But been to the physio, and she says, "Oh, don't worry. You know, you hurt your back, and then you freak out a little bit because it's your back." So I was a little bit nervous to have any possibility of a fracture or a stress fracture, but I've had 2 physios confidently rule that out, so that's what we like. So should be back to training in about a week. So Jordan said, taper week, taper for nothing.
Excellent. You didn't go down on the white fence at Centennial, did you? Because I managed that about a month ago and have had 2 runs since.
I actually did. That's all right. We'll get back.
It claims some of the best of us, Laura.
No.
Let's be very clear that Laura and I are not in the same realm of the best of us discussion. Maybe getting us at both ends of the spectrum might be a
How about this shot?
description.
Look how tight this pack is at the moment. Early stages, this is the men's D race. And we saw a couple of orange athletes wearing the orange singlets here. One of them just out the front. I think that might be Miller Rivet in hip number 10. Harry Helene of Run Crew just featuring on the inside rail at the moment. It's one of the
71.
So pretty good start there. Just under 9-minute pace at the moment. One of the Randwick Botany athletes now just shooting to the front.
I think that's Seb Havens.
Sebastian Havens, you're absolutely right, Laura. Very low arm carry there from Sebastian. Just sort of looking very relaxed. There's Josiah Lowe of Sutherland. Very bouncy character. He's run very well through his junior career at all schools and national levels so far. But Sebastian Havens from Randwick Botany goes through in about 1:45. As the field just stringing out a little bit now.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? About a 2-metre gap from first to second. Oh, second's coming up.
Bit of a mix here as well in terms of through the Trelaw Shield we have races broken up by relatively broad age groups, with the 14s, the 18s and the Opens, whereas the championship events with some of those younger athletes in are all open seating, regardless of age. So the other thing, we're going to split here, another 71, so very even through the first 800. But what you end up getting there is athletes who are at different stages of their seasons as well. A lot of the younger athletes have been running through all schools and the various schools championships and are actually well into their season now, whereas some of the open athletes, especially the ones we see later on, Holly Campbell and the like, will effectively be having their first race of the year.
Yeah, it's a good comment, Matt. And also through the GPS, CAS and IGSA association carnivals as well, usually the season always just rolls straight into summer. And Laura, as Matt mentioned, this might be the 10th, 12th, 15th track race that these guys are running over the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it's crazy. I always find it difficult going straight from cross country to track. You hear about, well, at least I have a few friends over in the US at college, and they're always like, "Oh, we're on our break now." I'm like, "That's nice. That must be nice."
Although the collegiate athletes have the same issue, right? Because they go cross country season straight into indoors and outdoors.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit picky, I think, with what you do. Otherwise, body's going to break down.
71 seconds again.
Oh my God.
So 121 to 22 and a 3:33, I think. So they're right on it at the moment. It's
why we see so many PBs in these events, right? You really get a lovely pack running at about your level, if not a little bit in front. You can get a little bit unlucky if you're sort of the top seed in your race. There's probably no one in there that's going to really pull you along. And we always have a lot of hot discussion around who, the athletes on the fringes of B races or A races and wanting to get in. But if you're in the middle of that pack, you're going to get a very lovely run, evenly paced, generally speaking.
John Maguire, the Canberra athlete, he's now just slipping back to third as we have a little bit of a move. Might be another one of the Canberra athletes, actually. He's just got onto the shoulder of John Maguire now. So that is Maguire who sits on the front. I'm just trying to pick up that singlet. It's not ringing a bell.
Bang on again.
Yep, so 71's great running here. Men's D race, perfectly paced. And, just one of the athletes pulling out there.
Was it pulling out or crossing the track? It might have just been across the track.
Oh, across the track.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's been a couple of precarious ones,
that was very hairy.
The packs all together. It shouldn't be that hard to get across before or after. So that lead at the front just being pulled back a little bit now. He was a couple of metres off the front. I think it's an upside down hip three.
Hamish Hunter. So there is another Canberra athlete. So it's the Canberrans, 1 and 2 at the moment. Hamish Hunter and John Maguire taking it to the New South Wales boys.
Well, and I saw you had an article up earlier, Jimmy. It's another indication of the strength of this event and the popularity of this event now, the number of interstate athletes we have rolling in.
Yeah, absolutely, and the drive from Canberra as well. I mean, you're travelling a similar distance to, say, run the Nowra Cross Country Championships or travel elsewhere. So 3 hours on the highways, not too bad when you get a race of this sort of level, Laura.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, so don't say Nowra
again. 72.
Don't bring Nowra.
Okay, we're talking about track here.
Yeah. We don't need to revisit that. That's it's in the trauma bucket.
Although coup there for Run Crew just going past. There's Wiley as well from Run Crew, but back to the front of the field. And it looks like we've had one of the Run Crew athletes join the runners from the nation's capital. Just trying to pick up the hip number there. Might be Lockie Brown.
I think it's Harrison
Sorry,
Phillips.
You're Harrison Phillips, that is.
Yeah.
As they're coming down with 2 laps to go here.
Keep the comments rolling in on the stream. It's always good to hear some of the stories of people in the race. So we've just had a comment in from the Mount Panorama Punish, which was on last weekend. I was up in Bathurst the week before that. Miller Rivet was 3rd in that race last Sunday, and Max Martinez was 5th. So they've had a big week, and they're both going around in this race, I assume, based on when that text has come in. But that Mount Panorama, of course, is going to be the site of the World Cross Country Championships in February of next year. And those athletes who've done the punish last weekend, 6.2 kilometres around the motor racing circuit there as they go through in 73, so it's just dropped a little bit. But on that course, I can tell you the downhill is actually considerably harder than the uphill, given the incline and the gradient. Laura, I'm not sure if you're out at the test event, the short course cross country championships.
No, I was away. I was overseas at the time. Coincided.
She was just representing Australia.
Yeah, just a little busy, but I can confirm it is a brutal course for those getting ready for the World Championship event in February, and plenty of mass participation races throughout the course of that program for anyone that wants to come up and enjoy the weekend. First ever Senior World Championship in Australia.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
As they take the bell here in the men's do race.
Harrison Phillips, super impressive.
Yeah, wow.
Late in this race, he's looking phenomenal with 300 metres to go as the rest of the field collecting the bell. Look at that form. Laura, 250 to go.
Probably he looks fine.
Few envious athletes out there in previous races thinking, I wish I felt and looked that good.
Oh, my God.
This has been
Some
superb
people are hurting.
from the run crew athlete. And there's, I think that might be Maguire in the teal top. Yeah, it is Maguire. And now there's been some moves. The Hills athlete there, Isaac Beecroft, that is, I think, sitting in third. So the Hills athlete having a good finish here. There's Josiah Lowe. But there is going to be our winner, and this is going to go sub-9. So our first sub-9 performance coming up. Big kick there from Isaac Beecroft of Hills Districts. He goes past Maguire to take silver. But here is your winner, Harrison Phillips, 8:56. And Beecroft's going to crack the 9. Well done to him. Booth Martinez has a fantastic finish as well, coming off the back of Mount Panorama punish and rightfully crashes to the ground. A little bit of lactic in those quads, most likely. Zavin Sarnos there. And there's the other orange athlete, Miller Rivet, having a good run there. Just over 9:10. Josiah Lowe in picture. There's the other Canberra athlete, just fading. Hamish Hunter late in that one. There's plenty of tired bodies crash to the ground. Men's D-race.
71-second last lap, so they ran it very well throughout the course of the race. The first 4 or 5 laps, they just nailed 71s and 72s. Just dipped a little bit in that sort of first 600 metres of the third kilometre, but very strong running and closing well in a 71. As you can see, that shade just starting to creep a little bit further across the S marks here. Really just the back straight now, which is in the direct sunlight, but still warm. A little bit of breeze around, but nothing too much to complain about.
And Laura, just talk us through. I guess you may have never actually run a Athletics New South Wales event at ES Marks. You're not running today, obviously, but how do you feel about sort of a marquee distance event coming back to Sydney's East?
Well, I mean, this is my home track, so I love it. I think it's great because we just had the track redone. It's great surface, good to run in. Bit of traffic out there today, so I think getting here was a little bit difficult for quite a few people, but I mean, it's a summer's day. Everyone's on the roads, but I don't know. I think it's good. What do you guys think?
Oh, I without any bias whatsoever, and this is also my home track. I wanted to get your opinion first before I said it was a good thing. I've been talking to quite a few people who I guess have had to make the trip from wherever they are in the east, and they train here once, twice, sometimes 3 times a week, and if you count Centennial Park, and to be able to have an event sort of 10 minutes from their house for the first time in, as Matt said, 6 or 7 years, I think it is a really good thing, and yes, logistically there are 1 or 2 headaches every now and then with parking and the like, but I think with the relay of the track, the Centennial Parkland sort of invested a lot of money into making sure that this track is of a level where we can run a state championship like this. The lighting, as you'll see as we get into the night, has been redone as well. So there's no more dark spots as there were previously. I think it's a really good thing. I think this might be probably one of the better events in terms of the quality, but also the appropriateness to bring to this venue for today.
Definitely, I agree. It's also it's in such a good location. I think it's encouraged more people to come tonight. And I think anything that encourages more people to sign up for a race is always going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Second best track in the state, obviously.
Yeah. SOPAC being the number one.
All roads lead to the crest for me, as everyone knows.
Very quick start. Wow. So Bronte Oates of Run Crew not mucking around. Was that a 31 second first 200? My goodness. So Bronte Oates.
No, about 36, 37.
Oh,
I
okay.
I think there's a manual clock down there that's got an issue.
She's got 35 metres on. I think that might be one of the Bankstown athletes.
So it's just looking up the back.
It's a huge
So we're going to
gap.
get a first split here. And so I've got the clock on screen. It's about right, maybe about half a second behind, but going to go through 200, 400 here in 70 flat, which is about 1 second quicker than the men's D race went through.
Wow. So Tessa Newitt of Bankstown Sports, who's gone through in a 76, which is 9:30 pace. This is extraordinary from Oates.
Well, let's see how long it lasts.
Well, this is and Matt, you mentioned before this often happens in. Well, we're up to the D race, so we're certainly not in the first graded race.
And that's the thing, is that it's not one where the handicapper, so to speak, would have missed them. There's form on the board for most of these athletes, unless someone's made a mistake with the seed time or something like that. But the other thing is that you really shouldn't be getting these bigger gaps the way this championship is set up. So, I mean, let's see if you could just have an athlete here returning from injury and being a bit conservative on the start list but going better or something like that. The other thing, as we mentioned, is that this is the first race of the season for a lot of athletes, so a lot of the seed times that get put down, or season's best, if you like, over 3K are actually from the event the year before. You can be a very different athlete 12 months later.
Yeah, absolutely, and particularly with the juniors as well. They develop so quickly, particularly in those sort of under 14, under 15, under 16 age groups, Laura, that you can sort of drop.
So that came back to an 81, so that's a bit more like it.
I was just going to say that the progression in 12 months can be 30 seconds over 3K, can't it?
Yeah, no, it's insane.
So Oates, yeah, she has certainly slowed down here. The Run Crew athlete leading proceedings.
It's still going to be a pretty handy first K. I mean, this is going to be about 3:15 or so for the first 1,000 metres. Lead of about 40 metres or so, maybe 50. We'll see. Just monitor that gap over the next kilometre or so, but through 1K in about 3:13.
She's just
moving along.
Sort of settled into a slightly more comfortable gait, I'd say, with the Randwick Botany athletes, Lily Cooney in hip number 9 and Nancy Newton in hip number 6. Newton, the shorter of the two athletes, just on the inside rails. The rest of the field coming through there.
I think that's Lily on the inside. Lily's the shorter one.
Oh, sorry, you're right, and that's from your. Sorry, I was going to say your home club, Laura. Randwick Botany athletes. Are they part of your squad?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Beautiful, there you go.
So
Randwick Botany have done such a good job as well. Shout out to them for hosting. Got the barbecue set up.
Yeah, the barbecue was
Is that much needed after your race?
firing up, firing me up, Laura.
Yeah.
I certainly needed a Coke after running 7.5 laps out there.
So whereas the men's D race went basically 71, 71, 71, 72, the women's D race has gone 70, 81, 84. So it's a bit all over the place with Oates out the front, but still holding a decent leading gap there. They certainly haven't just wheeled it back in.
Maybe a little bit of nerves, just shaking them out over a fast 400, because she does look more comfortable now. Just having a look over the clock. The clock's on the outside of the track, so you'll see a lot of the athletes just checking their splits. And you're absolutely right, Cooney, the shorter athlete there. Laura, I should never ever talk about Randwick Botany athletes. I should just let you commentate that club as we move through the night. There's Grace Pomeroy from Kembla Joggers just moving through there.
Lila Rigby of Sydney Athletics Academy sitting in that sort of 4th and 5th position there with one of her club mates. But up the back straight now, this will be What's that going to be? 3.5 laps to go.
Spot on. 1,400 to go.
And still that gap holding reasonably solidly. Still that sort of 30 metres or so. A little bit of a move there with Newton now coming around the shoulder of Cooney. The Randwick pair still running together, and this field considerably more strung out, which is not surprising given the early pace that was injected.
Saw Lucy Hoskins there of Sydney Athletics Academy just moving herself into 4th at the moment. She's been moving through the field over the last lap. There's a good shot. And the gap has stayed, hasn't it? Still 40 metres. Well, actually, maybe a little bit more. Maybe about 50 metres. Oates doing a great job after a very quick start. There's Newton, the taller figure. It's just getting passed now by Lucy Hoskins. So Hoskins now's moved into 2nd. There she is on screen. Newton sits in 3rd. Cooney in 4th, and Lila Rigby in 5th. There's Tessa Newitt of Bankstown with Larissa Grimer, I think that is, of Camden, with one of the victory runners athletes there also having a good run as well. This has been impressive. Front running Laura from the gun. Very, very hard to do for 3K.
Yes.
So coming up to the 2,000 metre mark now. We'll just get a split as they go through there. So 6:49 after a 3:13 first K. So it is unsurprisingly slowed down, 3:13 to a 3:36. But that was always going to happen given the first 800 metres.
There's a good pack there, just working together. A nice pack of about 6, sitting in about 5th to 11th positions. Hopefully they can work together to try and quicken up. There they are, just coming across the top of the screen, around the bend. It's all about Bronte Oates at the moment. 2 laps to go for the run crew athlete. And another quick glance at the clock. Wonder what's going through her head at the moment.
2 to go, I imagine.
Yeah, when's this over? Well, she's looking at the clock as opposed to the lap board, so maybe she's just checking on the splits to make sure she's holding. Tessa Newitt, I think that's a 3rd chase pack now, the Bankstown Sports athlete, and some moves just being made behind her.
Yeah, they've been well strung out now. I mean, the whole field covered by a good 200 metres now, a little bit more. Leaders just starting to head up to the 200 metre mark. So, yeah, a good couple of 100 metres covers this field now.
We've also got the first of our South Australian athletes joining us, Lucy Sperling in hip number 8. Welcome, Lucy. And not sure she's from the Adelaide Milers Club. I know Michael Nitschke, who we featured in that article you mentioned before, Matt. He's brought a handful of his squad up here as well. But there she is, just on screen in the black top there.
We've had a decent turnout from the South Australians in recent years in the middle distance events in particular. Big attendees at the Albie Thomas as well as some of the state championships, which is great to see. But picking up the bell now for Oates in about 9:01, 9:02, and you can see the gap there, probably about 20 metres or so. So the early move is going to prove decisive. Good little battle going on for the Miners though.
Yeah, Newton just holding 3rd just from Rigby, and I think that's Matilda Cole, possibly an incorrect club on my start list, but she's sitting in 5th at the moment. Bronte Oates, it's been impressive. Hoskins has had an excellent back half to this race, though. She's moved through the field and very much an outright 2nd, and I think that's going to be the one, too. It's a question of who's going to take out 3rd in this race, I believe. Lyle of Rigby just sitting there on the front of those 2 other girls, as Oates is just heading into the home straight now. 10 minutes ticking over on the clocks after a 70-second first lap, a 3:13 first kilometre. She broke this field apart, and even though she settled down to a more moderate pace. It's been her race from the gun. Well done to Bronte Oates of Run Crew. She will take out the women's D race in 10:22. A fantastic front-running performance. And Lucy Hoskins has had a great last few laps. She will take second and a tick over 10:30 for Sydney Athletics Academy. And they will go 2-3 with Lila Rigby. A good finish by her to finish in third. And a big dip on the line there between Tessa Newitt. And actually, it might be an addition to the field. Sorry, I think that was hip number 23, who was not on our start list. So the Victory Runners athlete there having a good finish as well. Rest of the field coming across the line. All these girls breaking 11 minutes. That's 3 minutes 40 per kilometre. There's Sperling from South Australia just over the 11-minute mark as well.
Well, entitled to be a bit tired. It's a well-strung outfield. Going to be finishing times well over a minute apart here in the women's D race. As we start to get into the serious end of the program. So 2 more races for each of the 3Ks. We'll do the C races for the men's and women's, and then we'll be into our 2 feature 800-metre events. As the officials always optimistically try to clear off the track a series of very tired athletes.
Optimistic is a very good word to describe. I was down there for about 5 minutes. It is warm out there. I'm telling you right now, it is warm.
But then you got your Coke and it's all good. Now you're fine.
Nothing like 38 grams of sugar to get you back on your feet.
Exactly.
So we'll have a look at the start list now for the men's C race. Next event on the program, as mentioned, we're going to do the C events, and then we will be into the 800-metre races.
And plenty of interstate flavour here for this one. We've got the coach himself, Michael Nitschke. He'll feature in the C race with one of his proteges, Zach Connell. They're the top 2 athletes on that start list in front of you, but also joining us from Victoria, Sebastian Brasington, Timothy Barnett of Athletics ACT as well. And is that Mr. Chapman? I saw that in the entry list. I don't know who it is. We're going to see Mr. Chapman in action, though. I've been waiting for this all week. I think with the interstate entries, they enter their own name. So whether that's a little bit of a go, or I don't know. Maybe it's an abbreviation. Don't know.
I've had some entertaining answers in the career highlights section of the entry form over the years. I've never had the name.
Mr. Chapman. Oh. You sure we can't do interviews after this, man?
You can get him up here.
Caleb Bedderson.
I hope he's got the moustache to go with it. I mean.
Caleb Bedderson coming down from Armidale. One of the top steeplechasers for his age group in the country. He's on the inside rail there. Brasington in the red. Do you know that club uniform from Victoria, Matt?
Sorry, mate. Just trying to get clocks underway here, and off we go. So I don't, mate.
Sorry. I was going to take a stab, but I'm almost certainly going to get it wrong. As we'll say the Victorian.
Yep.
We're off in the men's C race.
It was good enough for Bill Lowry, wasn't it? So it should be good enough for us. But a couple of the Canberrans out the front. Oh,
a chat between Bedderson and one of the Sydney Athletics Academy athletes there. That was quite interesting. Serious faces on now.
Another chat.
They're still having a chuckle down the front. So 32, 33 through the first 200 and still 4 or 5 wide.
Ryan Frickberg, that is, on the front. Sydney Athletics Academy. And he does go to the front now. Bedderson sitting in second. And Miles Carson of Scots College just sitting in third there. Tightly bunched. And it's not uber fast. There's a couple of little moves. Just trying to get some position. I think that might be Keith McPherson going 4 wide on the back straight. Yes, it is, in the black cap there of Run Crew.
So through the first 400 and about 69. So not crazy fast, but you can see they're all still bunched up. Starting to string out a little bit, but pretty well a train getting underway here, as so often happens with these top men's graded races where all the PBs are going to be around about the same mark. Good spread of clubs there as well. Sydney Athletics Academy, Run Crew and Sutherland. Jonathan McClellan from Sutherland just trying to work up there on the outside of Keith McPherson of Run Crew. Your latest club, Jimmy?
Oh, they run a tight ship, Run Crew. Ben St. Lawrence and Gary Howard. It's I guess what they've done with distance running and obviously not just them themselves, but the likes of Warren and Geordie Williams. I know Warren Williams won the NSW Rec Runner Coach of the Year a few years ago. I know Geordie just got a award from the Randwick Council
yep.
a couple of nights ago. Laura, particularly, and again, we're talking about the Sydney East here. They've done such a wonderful job to bring not just the next generation of school athletes into the sport, but they've brought the likes of me into the sport. And whether I think I'm an athlete or not, I guess is besides the point. They're bringing athletes to Athletics New South Wales events like this and making sure that they're getting the best experience at track events, and that track is for everyone. Yes, we're in the men's C race where they're running very fast, but we saw the men's L race, we saw the community races before as well. So they've done a great job and just bring people to the sport and really enjoying it while they're doing so.
I think they treat races like the community races equally as important as whether you're in the men's B race or the women's A race, which makes all the difference to people who might never get above the community race, but to feel like they're included, that they are athletes, that they're valued and their experience is made positive. That's so important.
Yeah.
So credits to them.
Very well said. Keith McPherson on the front now for Run Crew, with Caleb Bedison of Armidale just sitting behind him.
Yeah,
They've amped up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, we've had our first sub 3 minute K for the evening, so 2:56 through the 1,000 and about a 64 there through that 400 first lap of the second kilometre.
Oh, that's quick, 64. Wow. Oh, so Keith McPherson really dialing up the pace there. 72 that's 3 minute pace. So 64 is absolutely moving.
Just one of the Randwick athletes on the outside there. I'm just trying to pick up a hip number. Hip number 5, Ollie Needed is, yep. He's just made a little bit of a move around the outside, and I think it's then Miles Carlson from Scots who's picked his back up as well. Always a big contingent of Newcastle athletes make the trip down the F3 for this event. The Newcastle runners and the Newcastle Flyers just running together there at the back of this train.
Yeah, Nick Kane and Luke Babbage just out the back at the moment. Ollie Neat's been in very good form. I called some of the GPS championships this year, and he actually broke I think it was a 48-year-old GPS record in the 1500. So watch out for Neat from Randwick Botany. He's just seeing 4th in the run at the moment.
So Caleb Bedison's the other one up there in the leading pack as well from Armidale. I had his singlet wrong earlier. I thought he was the ACT. There's some similar singlets there. But Caleb Bedison up there just on the outside of McPherson's shoulder from Run Crew, and then Jonathan McClellan of Sutherland back on the inside. Carson then from the Scots College, and a move now coming around the outside from your mate Mr. Chapman. School teacher maybe?
He's got Mr. on his bib. How good's that? Oh no, he doesn't. He has 16.
Oh,
that would have been good. That would have been very good.
So we'll come up to 2,000 metres in a minute. It's certainly slowed slightly from the first K where they went through in 2:56, but it's going to be ticking along. They'll go in under 6 minutes, that's for sure, and a little change at the front now with McClellan going to the front, and this is going to be bang on about a 3 minute K. So threw in about 5:56 and a 3 minute K dead on.
Plenty
after a 2:56 to open proceedings.
Sorry, Matt. Plenty in contention. There's only 3 off the back here. So to keep essentially the entire field through 2K, there's Oscar Bukovinski on the back there just working hard to stay.
Here's your Victorian mate as well, making a move right up around the outside. That's Sebastian Brasington.
Yeah,
he's clearly had a plan to go at 2K. He's picked up the field and he'll go around the shoulder here and get on the back of McClellan and may well be in front and is as they hit 800 to run.
A big move there from the Victorian, looking to stamp his authority late on this one. So it's McClellan boxed in by the Victorian and the ACT athletes at the moment. Keith McPherson's just sliding back at the moment into 6 with Ollie Neat now just trying to make a move to get in touch with a couple of the interstate athletes. He's now moving into 4th. He's actually trying to just get on the back of Chapman and, well, might slide through the middle of Chapman and McClellan as he now sells on the rail in 3rd. That was a good move by Neat with 600 to go.
So they've really broken this field now. They were together for most of the run, but a lead pack of about 7 now with the others starting to fade. Still quite a few in it, though. Some of those early leaders like Bedison and Miles, though, have been dropped off the back. Ollie Neat still very much in this now and goes around the shoulder of McClellan, gets up to the shoulder of Brasington, and he'll be right with him as they go through the bell. In fact, comes and takes the lead. Bit of a move on the outside from Phillips as well, I think, one of the Kembla athletes.
Yeah, so Neat, I called it early and he's doing well. Ollie Neat goes to the front of the field. Brasington now is trying to give toe, but Neat, he isn't the in-form athlete. There's a reason why he is breaking records at the moment, and he's showing exactly why in this men's C race. He's leaving this field. Now a big move coming.
Phillips is still coming here for Kembla, so he's moved into 2nd now as they move up the back straight. McClellan isn't done either. The Victorian Brasington looks reasonably shot, but Ollie Neat and McPhillips now starting to really get up into the final 200 metres, but McPhillips isn't going to be able to make a run, and the run now coming from McClellan, but Ollie Neat looks to have them covered.
Yeah, he's coming into the final straight.
Keeping his form very nicely.
Yeah.
McClellan's found another gear, and here comes Brasington just around the outside as well. I think might be one of the South Australians, Michael Nitschke, that is. So the coach himself having a fantastic run here. He's going to pick up 2nd. So it comes from nowhere, and I reckon that's a big PB for Michael as well. Congratulations, coach. I reckon that's about 8-second PB. So I've given them the wind-up in the article, and he's absolutely come to the party late in the C race. Well done to him. Brasington finishes in 3rd, but Ollie Neat. And we talked about the school racing leading into these championships. Laura, the in-form athlete, gets the win in the C race. Has plenty of athletes coming across there in just over 9:10. That's Bukovinsky, Matt Dawson there as well from Delta Running Project. Keith McPherson, fortunately for him, just fading late in that one. Did a lot of work early on for Run Crew.
New Ramwick kit looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're actually selling it on the back straight. A couple of bundle packs for anyone at the ground who's tuning in, wants to mosey on over and have a look. First time I saw it was Drew Fryer at the New South Wales 10,000 metre championships a few weeks ago. So caught my eye, and I think Laura Roth actually designed the kit, and she's done a wonderful job.
She's done very well.
Really good. So if you're a part of the RBH clan, pick up your new kit.
Bit of a facelift for it.
So start list here for the women's C race. We'll be motoring through these now relatively rapidly, starting to get into some of the big names as well. That's the start list there. For those of you watching along at home, let us know who you're watching, what times they're going for. Still early season, but plenty of PBs run at this event. 3K not raced too often.
I have to say, one good thing about ES Marks that I was thinking about was it's great how everyone's lining up and can come onto the track to cheer people on, and as well, people are just warming up in the middle of the field, so you can always cheer on teammates or family members. Everything's here rather than having to go all the way to the warm-up track at SOPAC and then coming back, which is quite nice.
It's great to get onto the more suburban tracks. I've had aspirations of doing something at Hensley for a while as well with the little 6-laner there. See if we can sort that out for next season.
And it just has that, very community feel about it as well. I remember the first 3K champs I ever ran was at SOPAC. I think it was 2014, 2015. And I thought, my goodness, I haven't been here since school athletics. And I was a lot fitter back then than I am at 22, 23. So to come out here and particularly for some of those community runners and lower graded runners who, this might be their first ever 3K on the track, it is a really nice venue just to come and have a run and do your best in a very non-elite atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely.
So all the races tonight split starts in the 3K. So they join up after the first 100 metres. And an early little kick here from Imogen Howard. Of course, the last women's race, the C event, really got moving early on with a 70-second first lap, or 80-second, whatever it was. And Imogen Howard following in that vein a little bit for Sydney Athletics Academy and getting off the front of this field.
So a lot of these girls in the C race and upwards from this point will certainly be chasing national qualification standards. And I was just talking to one of the officials, Dave Higgins, before. Apparently they've just been lowered a little bit from last season to this season, and probably speaks to the point of how well distance running is going, not only in the open age groups, as we've seen at the World Champs and the Com Games level, but at the junior level as well. So the standards for the girls here, under 15 is 10.50, under 16 is 10.50, under 17 and under 18 is 10.45, under 20 is 10.40, and then open is 9.55. So if you're following along at home, they are the times that will get you a New South Wales singlet, track field champs.
So clear leader here, and 76 seconds there for the 200 to 600 metre mark of the race. Imogen Howard, the leader, ahead of Olivia O'Kelly, her Sydney Athletics Academy teammate. Randwick and Sydney University both in that pack as well.
Yeah, I think that's Matilda Manuel and also Sophie Gosha.
Sophie, I think, still primarily a steeplechaser.
I think possibly, but I mean, this might be nice for her, not having to jump over some hurdles.
Yeah, definitely.
Should be
Sophie.
easy. Should be a breeze.
Dry shoes, at least.
Yeah, true.
There's a good crowd. I'm loving the picnic blankets out there. That's fantastic.
It's a good feel at Marks. I remember, I think the lighting's had an upgrade since the last time we were here for the 3K Championships. It was very dark that night with the old floodlights down to keep photo finish alight. Coming up to the 1K mark now. Going to be a pretty handy first 1,000 metres. 76 second time around. This will be a little bit slower than that. About an 82 second lap, and it's about 3:13 through the 1,000.
Sienna Colosi of Run Crew just featuring up there at the moment now with Olivia O'Kelly.
So another big gap at the front here. Imogen Howard has opened up a gap of about 50 metres or so as they head up the back straight for the third time.
Just saw Ollie Neat giving a on-ground interview with Nathan Breen as well. It's been fantastic getting the athletes to have a chat after their races.
If they can.
If they can.
If they can form sentences.
Or when they can.
Yeah, exactly.
See the crowd now starting to get lined both sides of the back straight.
There's going to be a tunnel of noise there pretty soon if they keep building up that way.
Great atmosphere for
so
the
Howard
championship
Howard
races.
at the front, but let's see if we can pick out some of this chase pack. Sophie Gosha still in there up on the rail. And a move coming down the outside there as well. Is that O'Reilly, I think? Yeah,
yes.
Lily O'Reilly of Randwick Botany. Not in the new singlet, but close enough. And another Ramwick athlete in there just trying to get up on her shoulder as well. But they haven't really managed to close up the gap to this leader.
Yeah, a bit of a move. Lily O'Reilly just separating herself out from that chase back now. That's just happening off camera. But she is trying to get on the back of Imogen Howard at the moment.
Her cadence is faster, so maybe she'll slowly reel her in.
One of the youngsters having a run along there.
Yeah.
So 5:21 through. What's that? The through the mile.
Correct. Grace Henry, that is the other Ramwick Botany athlete, I think just sitting third at the moment. Sophie Ferenzi just trying to get back onto that chase pack at the moment as well. And yeah, look at this gap shortening now. This is a decisive move from Lily O'Reilly to get herself into the frame for the win. The Newcastle Flyers athlete, Cecilia Brown, as well, is having a good run. She now sits in third and just trying to get a toe from O'Reilly, as Imogen Howard will come up and collect 3 laps to go on the board. But that gap is now shortened to 5 metres to Lily O'Reilly. And there's the Flyers athlete, Brown. She's separated herself from Grace Henry, who sits in 4th, and that chase pack has been obliterated at the last lap. It's really separated out.
So Howard took them through 3:13 for the first 1,000 and was a comfortable leader. They're already well behind that schedule. And as they come up to 2K, we're going to tick through about 650 here. And that'll be exactly what they go through. So that second K, considerably slower, about a 3:37 or so. Slowed up from a 3:13 first K. And just as we say that, O'Reilly gets up to the shoulder of our early leader in Howard. Be interesting to see what she does here, whether she wants to go straight past, and it seems that she does. Let's see if Howard was keeping anything in reserve.
Just trying to tack on, isn't she? But the stride of O'Reilly is too strong at the moment, and she's just creating a little bit of a gap to Howard. And Brown, her eyes are lighting up as she can see Howard just a few metres in front of her. Now, Lauren Mitchell having an excellent run, the Masters athlete from Kembla Joggers. She's a very, very strong long distance runner, and she's getting better as this race goes on. Keep an eye on her. She's about 25 metres, maybe 20 metres behind Cecilia Brown, Newcastle Flyers.
So it's been a race of big leads. There's just been a change in it about halfway through, with Lily O'Reilly getting to the front now and has opened up her own gap of about 15 or 20 metres over the early leader Howard. Brown coming in third, and as Jimmy mentioned, the well-accomplished Masters athlete Lauren Mitchell runs 4th for Kembla in this open-seated race. Women's C race in the last race before we get into our feature 800s. So O'Reilly will get the welcome sound of the bell. Conditions now really starting to become perfect for middle distance running. The track well covered in shade. The sun's starting to set. And O'Reilly will get the bell with 8:55 on the clock. And Brown now puts herself into second position for Newcastle, ahead of the early leader Howard, but Howard looking to come back at her, and Mitchell working hard just ahead of Moore of St George.
So here in the match races down the field, O'Reilly and Bjorkman of Sydney Athletics Academy, Lara Thorne as well, another one of the Sydney Athletics Academy athletes. There's lots of them in this race doing a good job, but there's our leader. Fantastic form. She's really striding out at the moment. She's going to be just outside that 10-minute mark. I don't think she's going to be able to close in 26 seconds. But Lauren Mitchell I mentioned before, she gets better as the race goes on, and look at this from the KJ's Masters athlete. Goes straight into second. Didn't call her name until 400 metres to go, but she's having an excellent back half of this race. And there she is, 10 minutes ticking over, but this has been a big run from Lily O'Reilly of Randwick Botany. Fantastic finish, 10-10, finishes in about 75. Lauren Mitchell storming home, the Masters athlete. She's going to finish in sub 10:20. Excellent run by her. And Sari McKee of St. George, she finishes brilliantly as well. She's got over the top of Imogen Howard, who I think just finished in 4th, and Cecilia Brown in 5th. So big finishes there from the southern-based athletes in Lauren Mitchell and Sari McKee.
Really big last kilometre too, 3:13 and about 3:37 or so for the second K, closed in 3:20. So really nice closing kilometre for Lily O'Reilly to come home in 10:10. As the rest of this women's C race field just comes in with Beck from West.
Ingrid Kingsmill there as well, just coming across the line from Run Crew. And one of the, I think, Katara South athletes, Lucy Schmidt, yep, just coming across there, 11:16 for Lucy.
Maddie Joyce just tuning in right as the 800s are about to start, right on cue. G'day, Maddie. Hope you're well, mate.
No favouritism, obviously.
I'm sure it sticks through the 3Ks.
Oh, he runs a pretty decent 3K too. I think it was about 9:20 odd last year, so...
So here we go. There's the start list for the men's B 800 metres. Start team will move over to the start-finish line to get these 800s underway. Nice addition to the program here in the British Vic New South Wales Milers concept of having a couple of elite middle distances over the course of the night.
Well, this will be a fun race, this one. Brett Hall's of Run Crew as around 4:06 1500. The Masters athlete, I think he's one of the best in the country over the 8:15. And then you've got the other end of the spectrum, Harry Keats, who just set a New South Wales PWSA record, 2:09 he ran for the 800. So really both ends of the spectrum here in the men's B race. It'll be fun to watch. That's the beauty of open seating, Matt. It's all about times. You don't mind how old you are, where you come from, who you are. It's all about the time that you run. As there's the women's B race list. Another really good field there as well. Hunter Roundtree joining us from Newcastle Runners, and Ellie Stevens from Nowra making the trip up. Bronwyn Poole as well from Newcastle Flyers. She has come down to run the B race, and
we'll just have a quick flick through these A
men's
races
A.
while they get ready. So Rowan Lauren Day in 1, Jade actually these may well not be in a hip number order, come to think of it, but Jade Kitching, Aidan Love, Alex Talbot, Zach Rome, Cameron Burnett, Ben Passy and Edward Pubrick. And we'll have a quick look at the women's field just while they get ready down there.
It's going to be a good race, this one.
Cracker, isn't it? Haley Kitching from Coffs Harbour had such a good season last year. Ivy Boothroyd ditto. Fleur Cooper, Tia Brady and Bethany Holme, Taisha Buchanan, Ruby Madden and Adelaide Marshall. That's cracking field.
Ivy v Haley. That's got to be one of the matchups of the night, Laura.
That'll be so fun to watch. Both the Kitchings making an appearance in the A races.
Yeah,
so.
Jade, the national cross-country champion.
Yes.
So he had a phenomenal season. Was almost unbeatable in his age group. So, yeah, really, really talented family, the Kitchings. And thanks again to making the trip down to Coffs. It's shouldn't go without saying that's a 5-hour drive, I'm pretty sure.
That's a tough one.
So the men's B race is going to be up first. And I think we do have the hip number order in front of us. And we'll quickly go through it. Edward Lee of West's track and field goes in 1. Benjamin Long of Westfields in 2. Harry Keats of Athletics Wollongong in form athlete in 3. Brett Halls of Run Crew, probably the athlete to beat just based on his recent form. He goes in 4. Pat Carolyn of Kembla Joggers in 5. Noah Prateau of Randwick Botany in 6. And Marco DePaulis of Sydney University in 7. So away we go. This is the men's B race, the 800s splitting up the 3K program. And a bit of short, sharp action when it comes to distance. So Brett Hall's in the black of run crew will just settle into second as they come across to lane number 1. I think it's Marco DePaulis, the Sydney Uni athlete, who leads, but Hall's now just making a little move on the inside through the first 200, and it is now Hall's who leads this race.
Yep, Patrick Carolyn from Kembla just getting a nice little sit up there in third, and Noah Pratoa of Randwick Botany just opening up a gap of about a couple of metres, falling off the back of Carolyn there, starting to box on. So only 6 in the field. Halls for Run Crew, leading it now from Carolyn, who's just moved up into second position ahead of Sydney University's Pratoa as they head up the front straight and go through the bell. Apologies we don't have the clock there, but we'll get it for you after the race as Halls and Carolyn now make it a race of 2 with 300 to run.
And Carolyn's just tacked on, had to make that move and has done so. So it's Halls and Carolyn Run Crew v Kembla Joggers, and they are really gapping that chase pack led by Marco DePaulis. Looks like a race of 2. Halls is in form, but Carolyn trying to do it for the Wollongong region. 200 metres to go. Great race here in front of us. Prato now moves himself into third behind just in front of Long and DePaulis, but Carolyn, can he make that move with 150 to go? Halls is holding him off at the moment. Carolyn is still trying to come around the outside. He does move wide now. The Kembla Joggers athlete Prato is making a good run for Randwick Botany in third. Carolyn now moves past the shoulder of Halls, and it's been an excellent run. Just held on to him for the first 650, 700 metres, and he kicks away. An impressive win there for Patrick Carolyn of KJ's. Halls finishes in second, and fast finishing Noah Prato of Randwick Botany for third. Long in fourth, DePaulis in fifth, and Harry Keats, the young junior, he finishes strongly in sixth for Athletics Wollongong.
Lovely run there from Caroline, kept disciplined through the first 400 metres and came into his running strongly.
I think we still have one on the track, Matt. Edward Lee of Wests just coming in with 50 metres to go as well. There he is. Well done to Edward. Finishing off nicely there.
So that's the first of our 800 metre events, I should say, as they make their way in. Well, for those playing along at home, there's a live results link in the description of the live stream. And those results will be coming throughout the course of the night from the gun photo finish team here next door.
Oh,
and there you go. They've already got the 800 metre B results up. So Pat Carolyn, the winner for Kembla Joggers in 1:59.78, dipping under that 2 minutes. Brett Hall's second for Run Crew, 2:01.31. And Noah Pratoa of Randwick Botany in 2:01.83.
Handy B race, that one. 3 guys, yeah, wow. 2:01 or under, and that's a 3K champs where a lot of them are stepping up. So some good depth there in the men's 8.
Mm.
So just a little delay here as we get set for our second B race in this 800 metres, the women's event. And that's the start list there. Bronwyn Poole for the Newcastle Flyers, Charlotte O'Dowd for UTS North. Then comes the Randwick pair of Sophie Curzon and Sienna Novak. Hunter Roundtree of the Newcastle Runners, second big club in Newey, goes in number 6. Airlie Stevens for Nowra, and Piper Sweeney rounds out the field of 8. Hopefully we'll have 8 of them down there.
3 local girls in this race. Laura, any form on the Sophie, Sienna and Piper?
Well, they all train together, so that's good. Oh, except for Sophie Curzon. But I know that Sienna has really good speed, so does Piper. Both of them very young athletes. Up and coming for sure. Yeah, just they're always cranking out so many fast 200s that I honestly can't keep up. So I think this will be a very interesting race for sure. I'll put it down to youth.
Yeah, that's why I put it down to a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was going to say you're a 3.5 runner, Laura. So to get beat in twos by 800 metre specialist juniors, not such a bad thing.
Exactly.
I'm certainly happy to call it youth rather than ability. But
There's Tarvey wandering over. I don't reckon he's ever missed a meet, David Tarbotton. He is at everything.
the only reason he'd ever miss a New South Wales meet is if he was at an Australian meet. The only reason he'd ever miss an Australian meet is if he was at an international meet.
He does such a good job, Tarvey.
The amount of photos he would have.
Oh,
Just
it's
the
phenomenal.
Storage.
It's phenomenal.
Okay, so unfortunately, it doesn't look like we've got a full field for this B race. I'm not seeing Charlotte O'Dowd or Sophie Curzon on the start list.
Also, we know
Or
Piper Sweeney
for that matter either. So
Piper's there.
what is she?
Piper Sweeney's
she's just
on
walking,
the end.
walking back.
She's on the end.
Oh, there she is.
She's got the ponytail with the
Oh, okay. They must have brought her in a line
yeah.
just to confuse us.
Oh, that is confusing.
Okay, so all right.
So no Sienna Novak, is that right,
It's
Laura?
not a
Sienna's
9-lane
there
track,
too.
is it? No. No, okay. So they've brought them in a lane.
Yeah.
but
Right.
In any event, off they go, and they're going to bring them back.
Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. So there are the hip numbers. They just turn around there. So 7, 8, and 6. Ellie Stevens.
Yeah,
So-
6
Yeah.
is there. So they've been moved in one.
And we've got
Bronwyn Poole there from Newcastle Flyers as well. She's on the inside with empty lane either side of her.
okay. So do we have Sophie Curzon?
No Sophie Curzon.
Sophie. All right.
No, so Bronwyn, Airlie, Sienna, and Piper.
No.
No Hunter Roundtree.
No Hunter Roundtree either. Okay. So this is just gotten all a bit unnecessarily confusing.
I assume they've moved them in so
Isn't that a Newcastle?
Bronwyn Poole doesn't have 2 empty lanes on her outside, I imagine.
But in that case, wouldn't you just put
Bronwyn in.
the
Anyway.
lane next to it? Anyway.
Off they go.
That's why we're not
So
officials.
4 in
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
4 in it, a very fast start from Piper Sweeney on the outside, and her teammate Sienna Novak of Randwick is going with her pretty strongly as they head up to the crossover point, and the field of 4 will merge over together. And so the tall figure of so who are we saying that is? That's
Piper Sweeney is out.
Yeah.
so just in behind. So
Piper,
Bronwyn
Sienna,
Poole it
then
is of
Bronwyn,
Newcastle,
yeah.
right? So that makes more sense. No Hunter Roundtree either. So going through 300 metres now, Sweeney from Novak, then Bronwyn Poole, and they're a lead pack of 3. Pretty visible display there of open-seated racing, and a bit of a gap back then to young Ali Stevens. But 3 in it as they come up to the bell. I'm going to go through just over 60 seconds, probably going to hit about 65 as they run through, call it 66. And it is Sweeney from Novak and Bronwyn Poole still running together as they head up with 300 to run.
Yeah, Poole's just trying to get round the youngsters on her inside and now starts to make that move. So the open athlete coming to the fore with 300 metres to go. Can the youngsters respond? Sienna Novak, maybe those 200s coming in handy at the moment,
Far
Laura.
out.
She's just moving past her teammate's shoulder and she does move into second. But Bronwyn Poole's just gapped the youngsters 5 metres behind her. She has having a really good run. Sienna Novak, certainly not out of it at the moment. Sweeney is catching her coattails, but Novak's just starting to lose her teammate at the moment. Poole might have just opened up the gap a little too much, although Novak is still coming. Poole's had some good form early in the Trawler Shield season, and she is looking to take out this B race. She will do so. That gap is too big now, and she's finishing really nicely over the last 50 metres. Well worth the trip down. Bronwyn Poole is going to take the women's B race in 2:15. Good run by her. And I reckon just under 2:20, maybe for both of the girls there. Sienna Novak over her teammate Piper Sweeney. And our final finisher here, Ellie Stevens of Nowra, also making the trip up having a good run. She's going to go well under 2:40.
So good running there from the women's B race in the 800. Slightly disappointing with the smaller field, but always to be expected when you're asking for nominations for an A race. We'll see if we can get some official results up in a moment for you from that women's B.
True distance event. Plenty of athletes warming up on the infield. Look at them go around. They're all our championship races.
I love it. I love watching who's coming. Just being like, oh, hello.
There's
There they are.
picture of Brasington in the red. He's just cooling down. So some really nice images there.
Oh, Jayla's warming up.
Holly Campbell, yeah, Jayla.
Schofield twins.
Yeah.
Connor.
I chat to Schofields before. They're in good spirits.
Oh,
looking for a
as
big
always.
race. Looking for a big
So
race.
There's the official results from that B race. So Bronwyn Poole, confirmation of her win in 2:17.21, 2:30.31 for Sienna Novak, 2:21.42 for Piper Sweeney, and Ellie Stevens came home in 2:39. So on the start line now, just doing their run-throughs for the men's A race. And I've just put the women's up. There's the men's. And handy little field here. Rowan Laurenday for Illawarra Blue Stars. Jade Kitching for Coffs Harbour. Aidan Love for Run Crew. Alex Talbot for Randwick Botany. Zachary Room, hooked on running. Cameron Burnett and Ben Passy both go for Run Crew. And Edward Perbrick goes for the Scots College. So let's see if we can get a full field for this one. Looks like everyone... Oh no, Zachary Room's just coming back to the start. So full field due to line up in the men's A 800 metres, which is a good sign. Any tips here, team?
No. Honestly, just I don't think you feel more lactic than when you've done an 800.
Well, Jade Kitching is the under-17 national champion over 800. Won all schools in 155. Rowan Laurenday has come up to the 800 metres as well, so he's got a lot of speed on him from Illawarra Blue Stars.
So off they go in the men's A 800 metres here at the 3K Champs. A very fast start right on the outside from Zachary Room of Hooked on Running, and he's going to bolt up the back straight. Also a fast starter on the inside is Jade Kitching of Coffs Harbour, and they're going to be the two leaders as they come up on to the 200 metre line. Also Aidan Love of Run Crew right in there, sitting on the rail as they start to bunch up, coming around the home turn for the first time. So the leading pair of Kitching and Love just sitting on the front of the Hooked on Running athlete Zachary Rose. They go around the outside. Then comes Randwick Botany's Alex Talbot. Little gap back then to Rowan Laurenday of Illawarra Blue Stars as they come up to the 400 metres in around about 55 seconds.
So Kitching leads from the front. As I mentioned, the under-17 national champion. He runs very, very well over the back half of races. He's so strong. He showed that all throughout the winter season. But this is a quick one, and he's got plenty of company. What a great race. This is 5 in contention. Laurenday now makes a move on the back straight for Illawarra Blue Stars. Can he get those 400 legs into action in the last 250? Now a big move from the Randwick Botany athlete, Alex Talbot, coming 3 wide, and he will join the shoulder of Aidan Love, who's had a great start to the season as well. Kitching still leads it. Love right there. The Hooked on Running athlete, Zachary Room, also having a really good run. This is going to be a barnstorming finish here. The men's 800, not disappointing. Love is now starting to try and come over the top of Jade Kitching. Kitching finds another gear. It's the Coffs Harbour athlete. Look at him go over the last 100. What a finish. Absolutely brilliant. That's why he's the national junior champion. What a finish by Jade Kitching. Love finishes in second. Dip on the line for Laurenday in third. But my goodness, 16 years old, Laura. That was super impressive.
Yeah, wow.
About 153, and the whole field will be under 2 minutes, I fancy. Oh, sorry, pardon me, just one of the stragglers there, but all but the last one will come in under 2.
That could be a PB. 153 at 16, and to have the range he has. We're going to see his sister up next. Oh, I love watching the Kitchings race. Aidan Love has had an excellent start to the season as well. He's come on the scene very recently for Run Crew. I think he ran a 154 last week at the Trelaw Shield with his teammate Zach Johnson. So a good run there by Love to solidify a bit of early season form.
Cracking race, 200 to go. There were 5 in it.
Yeah, wow.
Let's hope the women's can live up to that. If that's a prelude of things to come, not only in this women's 800, but also the 3K championship races tonight. We're in for a treat here at Marks.
We always get some really good 800-metre supporting races, don't we, at the 3 and 5K champs? I remember Obsi Yusuf had a kick down to finish all kick downs in one of those years. There's been some really, really good athletes. And I guess if you're going to stay at the 800, you can enter that race knowing that you're going to have some good company around you, and that was a really good example of that.
So confirmation now of the results. Jade Kitching, 153.38. Just about half a second ahead of Aidan Love, 153.95. So both of them under 154, and Rowan Laurenday, 154.70. See the women lining up, so we'll just put this start list up quickly for the women's 800-metre A race. Run us through that, Jimmy.
Yeah, Bethany Helmy of Sydney Pacific in 2. Then comes Ivy Boothroyd, the 4 and 800 national champion for the under-16 age group. She goes in 4 for Sutherland Districts. Then comes the 7th best under-20 athlete in the world, Hayley Kitching, a phenomenal 2:02 a couple of months ago. She goes in 5. Tia Brady of Newcastle runners, very good runner in 6. Tasty Buchanan's a really good all schools. She goes in 7 for Athletics Wollongong. Then Adelaide Marshall and Ruby Madden of Run Crew in 8 and 9. So away we go. And Hayley Kitching is off quickly. I think Ivy Boothroyd's just gone a little bit more conservative. But Kitching, look at this. Early stages. She is not mucking around, Laura.
No, she's...
Wow.
She knows she can run this. She's done this 1,000 times.
She ran a all-schools record for the 19 years, took down Susie Walsham's record, 31 years that stood, and she was absolutely cooked at the end of it. Ran 2:08, but had a big program beforehand. But she looks fresher today, and she's looking to take on the clock.
Absolutely motors through the first 200, does Kitching, about 31 seconds or so. Sitting in second, about 15 metres off the pace, is Taisha Buchanan of Athletics Wollongong, and then a little bit of a gap back to, I think, Ruby Madden of Run Crew. And the second half of this field is just starting to converge together, but all eyes on the front as Kitching hits the bell in about 59.60 flat. Gap then back to Buchanan. And then comes the balance of the field with Madden, but all eyes on the front and on the clock as they get up to 300 metres in about 75 seconds or so. So just dipping outside of that 2-minute pace now, as you'd expect, with absolutely no help out the front. Sitting in behind her, the move starting to come now. Buchanan still sitting in there, and just in behind her, run starting to come from Bethany Harmy of Sydney Pacific, and she's going to get up into second place now, and in fact start to close the gap to Kitching to about 5 metres or so, who went through in about 96 seconds. So the gap just starting to close up a little bit now. Kitching went absolutely bullet a gate the first 200 through in 31, and the gap really now starting to close up with Bethany Halmy closing in on Kitching with 100 to run. Into the straight, Kitching trying to hang on. Has she got a response here to the challenge from Bethany Harmy? And it looks like she does. Hayley Kitching is going to join her brother and take out the 800 metres here at the 3K champs. Too good for them in the end. Quick start, faded in the middle, but home in about 2:09. Halmy, a good finish in second ahead of the field. Really looked a challenger with 100 to go, but class prevailed in the straight.
Yeah, no Ivy Boothroyd in the race made that a very different race. She was actually on the start list that was provided, but not in the race. So that, I guess, changed the dynamic and possibly the way that Kitching said, right, I'm just going to take a time here. And once she seemed to get those solid legs, Laura, she just wanted to hold on for the win, and she did really well in the last 100.
So impressive. It'll be great. She's off to Penn State, but it'll be great to see what she can do in the NCAA with people around her own ability and pace.
Yeah.
Push her along. Sub 2 minutes, Hayley. Next season.
Geez,
I'm putting that out for her.
No pressure.
We'll join.
The collegiate scene is the place to do it.
Yeah.
Clearly. There'll be some classy fields over there. But that's the last of our 800-metre races. We'll calm things back down again for the 3K championships. 2 races in each of the men's and the women's to come. And there is your start list on screen for the men's B race. Another huge field of 22. And we'll run through them in hip number order just as the start team makes their way over. So this is in hip number order, which is not what's on the screen. Luke Boys from the inside for Run Crew. Braden Everett for Newcastle Flyers. Harm Sharp for Bankstown. Ben Bishop for Sydney University. Liam Dixon of Newcastle Runners. Nicholas Rogers for Sydney for Randwick Botany. Lockie Townsend for Sydney University. And then comes the Run Crew pair of Sam Shield and Benjamin Jagger. Bankstown's Hamish Longworth goes in hip number 11. Monty Dixon for Newcastle Runners. James Starkey of Gosford Athletics ahead of the All Whites pair of Obsa Youssef and Marty Cooper for Sydney Uni. Cooper Gillis visits us from South Australia. Alex Shaw for the Delta Running Project runs inside Max Russell. Luca Gillard of Trinity will start on the inside of Simon Magna of Run Crew. Anthony Morgan has made the trip down the F3 from Newcastle, and Zachary Johnson will be on the outside of the field of 22 for Run Crew as we look ahead to the men's B race. And just as soon as Jimmy's done with his Instagram stories, he'll be back with us.
Job first, mate.
That's it, mate. Little gap in the program here just as the start team makes their way back over from those 800s.
Should also mention that Livia Inkster doing a fantastic job in... Well, doing a better job than I would. I was going to say in lieu of me, but she was phenomenal at all schools. I couldn't not have her back doing Instagram stories. So she's been on since about 4 p.m. So for those following along on the socials, I hope you're enjoying Liv's content. Gave her a bib with her name on it, one of the 3K champs bibs that you've seen on the athletes. And she said to me, I didn't think I'd ever see my name on a 3K bib. And I said, me either. So doing a great job. Here's Liv. Of course, another one of our fantastic World Junior representatives from New South Wales. We just saw one on the track, Ailey Kitching, Laura Roderick, another one with us in the box. Just saw her name on the guest commentator graphic as we're not too far away from a start with the men's B race. And this is really where the 8:15, well, I almost box them into 800 runners versus the 1500 runners versus the 5K runners really comes alive. So you've got the likes of Obsa Youssef from Sydney University, who I mentioned sometimes would run the 800 metre A race, deciding to step up to the 3K. So again, the tactics of the field, knowing the kicks of Obsa Youssef. Luke Boys featuring in this one, another World Junior representative in the 800 metres. You want to make sure, Laura, that you're running the sting out of the legs, particularly with the likes of those gents and how good they are with that 800 metre speed towards the end of the race.
While we're waiting, let's just have a look at the 2 championship race fields and start to think about some predictions there. As you mentioned, the Schofield twins will be prominent in this men's race. Drew Fryer has had a lovely little start to the season off the back of a big year last year. Stefan Music's there as well. Joey Burgess for Sydney University has had big wins on this night before. Won a famous B race at SOPAC a few years back and now a walk-up starter for the A race. He'll be thereabouts. Matty Cox, one of those longer distance guys you're talking about, Jimmy, dropping down to the 3K, 2:19 marathoner, Coxie. So coming down to the 3,000 metres. Hamish Hart has been running well. Tom Davies stepping up from 800 as well.
Bailey Habler in there as well. Which is good.
Habler's been running well. Watch out for Kieran Rushton as well. 8:12 for 5th last year was a mind-blowing run. That had to be the run of the race for me. We knew that Kieran Tall and Craig Huffer were going to be there or thereabouts, but he was really one that broke out for me, and he's been training quite well here on his home track. Drew Fryer has won the last 2 New South Wales championships. He won in Bathurst on that super, super tough course at the short course cross-country championships, and then won the 10,000 metres in pelting rain, basically solo, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, well, if anyone follows him on Instagram, they'd see that he's been hitting the cryotherapy. Did you see that one?
I did see that.
Oh my
there
God.
might be a little partnership in there. Anyway, women's race.
I can vouch for the for the toughness of the Bathurst course, helped design it and have run it and walked around it again last week. And all the World Athletics guys noting how hard it is, which is, to be fair, and as I pointed out to them, exactly what they asked for. So
don't say you designed it too out there. Everyone will be sending you hate mail saying death threats.
So that's the Women's Championship race, just as they start to line up in the men's B race, which we'll go to in a moment. This is a cracker of a field.
Well, the dark horses at the top of the list, Neve Allen, we don't really know what she's capable of, but we know what shape she's in. Fifth at the Cedar Surf. Ainsley was third at the Cedar Surf. So those run crew athletes, I think they'll probably have a plan to work together against the likes of Holly Campbell. Holly, the national bronze medalist, 9:08, and challenged for the win with the likes of Rose Davies and Nat Rule last year. That was a brilliant run. She is the New South Wales silver medalist as well. Jayla was bronze last year with Leanne Pompiani from ACT winning the event. Ainsley Van Grand, the defending champion for the New South Wales 3K. It's a cracking race.
And what a season she had last season over the track distance events. Did the sweep from memory.
3, 5, 10.
3 to 10.
She just, we didn't really know about her until this race 12 months ago. And she went from a 9:33 to a 9:07 in one race and was basically with Leanne until the last few strides. And we all thought, oh, okay, this lady's here to stay. She is here to stay. And, we should have known that from making the World Cross Country team for South Africa in 2019. We knew her credentials, but we didn't know how good she was until she stepped on the track this time 12 months ago. And again, it might be the same story for Neve, the Irish-based athlete. So coming to Sydney, has only just joined Run Crew a few months ago, run only a couple of races in Sydney. So super exciting to see those ladies go against Holly, Jayla, and Jess Noble as well, has been running well for Newcastle Flyers.
You can see her warming up out there.
So off we go in the men's B race here at the 3K Champs into the real business end of the program now, and absolutely nobody wanting to get on with this. Hamish Longworth of Bankstown sitting up there.
Taking it out.
And there's one of the Delta athletes.
Alex Shaw.
There, Alex Shaw, who's just looking around, looking for somebody to go. Marty Cooper sitting on the outside. So is one of the Newcastle.
Oh, that is 7 wide.
Yeah.
From one of the Dixon brothers, I think. Just shooting out there. I think he might go to the front. Yeah, he does. This is going to suit the 800-metre runners.
Mm-hmm.
So Dixon's clearly decided that wasn't for him. Goes to the front of the field, but still nobody really wanting to go with him at this point. And you always see a little bit of buggering around in these B races. But Dixon will lead them through the first 400 metres, 70 seconds. So absolutely pedestrian start to this B race, which has in recent years been won not far outside of 8 minutes.
Starkey just sitting in second there for Gosford. Then comes Martin Cooper, Hamish Longworth, and Luca Gillard from Trinity's had another athlete who's had a really good school season. He's looking for a big race here tonight. Ben Jagger's been in excellent form. Again with the frontwards cap here tonight, Matt. I actually talked to Ben a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how much he actually likes us commenting on the hat, so I'll put that one in the back pocket for now, Ben.
So Luca Gillard in there for Trinity as well. So this field just starting to get a little bit more strung out. But you can see they're still 4 or 5 wide down the back there. Plenty of athletes running well within themselves here as they head up to the 800 metres. But Dixon leading Starkey of Gosford. They're the front two. Then comes Marty Cooper. Just sitting in behind them is Hamish Longworth of Bankstown. And then the Trinity athlete there, Luca Gillard, just getting with Jagger on his outside.
Luke Boyers has got really good position there. Luke's looking for a really, really big season, trying to launch off that coming to the fore and going to a World Junior Championships. He's just come along in leaps and bounds over the last 12 months, and he'll be looking for a good performance here tonight.
Interesting step up from 800 to 3K.
Yeah, I think a lot of the 800-metre guys will step up with a sort of base training approach early in the season, coming back down to the 15 and the 8. So it might be the only time we see the likes of Obser and and boys in the 3K.
So 256, 257 or so, let's call it, through the first 1,000 metres, and that's pretty pedestrian for...
Same as the C race.
Yeah, for a B race, which in recent years has been won much closer to 8 minutes than 9.
Ben Bishop now just moving into third for Sydney University. Bishop, an 8:32 athlete, I think, so he's probably one of the quicker athletes on paper in this race. He'll fancy his chances.
They'll do well to run that from here, given the start that they've had. It's been pretty pedestrian. You can still see there Obsa Yusuf sitting 3 or 4 wide back in the field. If they keep it pedestrian, it may well suit someone like Obsa with that 800 metre speed back in the back end of the race. But you can see by how bunched they still are as they come through into the straight, just the fact that there has really been no pace injected into this race. And credit to Monty Dixon, he went to the front when no one else would, but he wouldn't be reasonably expected to pull the entire field on. Starkey, absolutely no reason to do anything other than exactly what he's doing for Gosford. Sits one out, one back.
It'll be interesting to see if they split into 2 packs or not.
Marty Cooper's just drifted back in the field a little bit, part of an athletics power couple. His partner Holly Campbell will be going around in the A race a little bit later on. So they're forming up a bit like the arc now, 2 by 2. Starkey goes around the shoulder now of Dixon, ahead of Jagger. Then Ben Bishop back on the rail, just sitting on the front of Longworth. It's a leading pack of 5 as they run through the back straight.
Well, Jagger's just ranging up now. We're starting to see the 800 metre specialist getting interested in getting their position right for the last 3 laps coming up on the board now. James Starkey, he's had a good winter actually, the Gosford athlete, really come into his own over the last 6 months. So he's in a good position to finish high up this field. Jagger sits second, Dixon third, Luke Boys now. You can just see perfect position, 2 out, 2 wide, with Marty Cooper now coming 3 wide to try and join him. There's the other Dixon brother, Liam, just try and move himself into the picture as well. Hamish Longworth just stuck in an awkward position there for Bankstown Sports with a couple of athletes passing him. He's just stuck on the rail with Alex Shaw now trying to get on his coattails. But the entire field is ready to go.
And Laura, this is the sort of race I would think where you really don't want to be caught up on the rail. There usually should be room to get out in a 3K, but it's where you can run into trouble.
Yeah, there's no room here. You can see you've still got athletes 3 wide, 2 wide, and I feel bad for anyone on the rail in this.
Zach Johnson just pops out into the lead now, and Jagger, his teammate, now sits. So Zach Johnson, I've been mentioning a little bit of early Trelaw Shield form. He won a 1500, got over the top of Joe Ryan. I think Trelaw Shield won, and he's run a good 800 recently as well. So Zach Johnson is looking to just control proceedings there. And look at the trio run crew just ranging up now, the black and whites, and with the Newcastle boys just behind them. This should be a really fun last segment to this race.
So they went through 2K in 5:50 after having gone through in 2:57 the first 1,000. So gives you an indication of the sort of pace they've been running. Johnson sitting on the front of Jagger, and Starkey's just been really well placed there throughout the race, running a lovely little tactical race there for Gosford. Luke Boys in there strongly for run crew as well, and the early leader Dixon is doing well to box on for Newcastle. Marty Cooper has gotten himself back into a position on the outside there of Bishop, and Longworth still has now managed to get off the rail for Bankstown and get himself into the racing room. Obviously Yusuf, this will be too hot for him with the 800 metres, looking for something a bit shorter than this, but it's a run crew trio at the front at the moment,
Sydney
with
Uni
coming at them as well.
Look at that, Bishop leading Lockie Townsend.
Yep.
So we're seeing a bit of action in terms of teamwork between the clubs here. Look at Sydney University versus Run Crew. Dixon's just trying to get himself back into the picture, and Nick Rogers now of Randwick Botany trying to get up now. He's currently sitting in 6th spot, but Ben Jagger now moves to the front of the field with Ben Bishop and Lockie Townsend right on his heel. Now, is this a little gap? Dixon's trying to bridge it. Boys is just slipping back now as Zach Johnson moves past his shoulder. Zach knows the danger of Ben Jagger, his teammate. He runs with him multiple times a week, and Johnson is working mightily hard to get onto what is it quickly becoming a lead pack of 3. Jagger has split this race open.
So into the straight now. They've really thrown down the gauntlet here. Jagger trying to bring it home, but the All Whites behind him are just gunning at him. Bishop sitting in there as well, so is Townsend. Jagger trying to hold them off here for the All Blacks, and he's going to do it. Well done.
Who's going to get second?
The Run Crew athlete, Ben Jagger, comes home, wins the B race in about 8:31. They've closed very quickly, and it was Bishop just got over the front of Townsend. Dixon just beaten out by Johnson, I think, for the Miners.
That's
but a lovely battle in the last 200 metres there. We'll go back and have a look at that, actually.
How well has Ben Jagger come on? He was an 800-metre runner predominantly up until maybe late last season. Did he extend out? But he's just come into 1,500 3K running so well. And there is a lot of talent in this. The athletes behind him, Ben Bishop and Lockie Townsend, are both 8:30 or sub 8:30 athletes. Ben hasn't run that before. I believe his PB 8:33 he ran a couple of weeks ago as we're looking at the replay. But on paper he shouldn't be able to do this, and he just burns the whites behind him. Zach Johnson's trying to bridge that gap, just too hot for him late on. But the kick of Ben Jagger after doing a bit of the work in the last couple of laps. And there's the 800 speed that I was talking about. There was just too many of them in the race to burn completely off. They got Boys, they got Obsa, but they couldn't get Jagger.
I mean, when you consider the fact they went through 2:57 and they've come home 8:31, you can see just how much that got dialed up towards the back kilometre in particular. They went through, I think it was 67 the second last lap. So really dialed it up late in the piece. So we'll have a look at the start list now for the women's B race. Hopefully it can live up to the hype created by the men's. If you're watching at home, bash that share button because we're getting into the business end of the proceedings here. And there's our start list for the women's B race, just as they get organised over the back, and it looks like we're going to get underway fairly quickly here.
Some very, very talented juniors will go in this one. Sarah Baker, Abby Ballhorse, and Jessica Burke. Oh, sorry, Jess Burger, open athlete, my apologies to her. But yeah, some real Aspen Lambert, Shayna Hargraves, like really, these are our top juniors in New South Wales, Laura, featuring this B race.
Holly Story in there too.
Holly Story, yeah. And it's really that it's that stepping stone before they sort of launch themselves into that A race. This is really where they want to make their mark, win the race, top 3, top 5. Really important to try and stamp their authority on what's a really, really high quality race, the 3KBs. Then you got the open athletes, Therese Auden from Mingara, Jess Burke from Run Crew she's been running really well over the roads this summer. Audrey My Hall, really good athlete from Sydney University. She's been around a long time. Lily Harding to lose in this race as well for Run Crew. So the juniors versus the opens here, the women's B.
Back from Wake Forest, Lily, over in the collegiate system with her sister Amy and Zach Facchione as well. But underway now in this women's B race as they sort themselves out after the split start. Looks to be moving along a little bit better than the men's B race in the early stages at least. Looks like young Jessica Kahn there of Bankstown on the rail, just sitting on the front of Amelia May of Nowra. They'll be the leading pair. One of the Sutherland girls might be Brooke Carson in there sitting in third, just on the front of one of the Kembla Joggers athletes. We'll pick them up as they head around the back. Missing the inside hip numbers this tonight.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I'll have to have a word later.
Put in a recommendation.
So up the back, and you can see a few looks at the watch there. They were 34 through the first 200. And not being strung out here, still 2 and 3 wide in places, but you can see a gap in that field starting to break early.
It's a quick start. A lot of these girls, or I think maybe the entire field hasn't gone under 10 minutes. So that's 80-second laps, and they've gone through in a 74. It's a quick start.
So it is Carson of Sutherland, Brooke Carson there, sitting in third, back on the rail. And just on her outside is the Newcastle Flyers athlete of Haiwan Wilson. Through 600 metres now in about 1:53, and that was an 80-second lap.
Yeah, so tightly bunched up the front there. Jessica Khan, the shortest in the field, doing a good job on the front at the moment, just setting up this race to a really healthy pace. Single file starting to emerge. I think it's Shani Hargraves just trying to get herself into the picture.
Yeah, had a good season. Shane Hargraves trains with Jayla Hancock Cameron, who'll go around in the A race for Bankstown, part of Onday Kale Music's Limitless track team, based down in the southern regions of Greater Sydney. So they're coming up to the 1,000 metres now. As Jimmy mentioned, plenty in this field haven't gone under 10, but they're going to be pretty well placed to do that. So obviously 3:20, the split we're looking for to be on 10-minute pace. And it looks like Jessica Khan's going to take them through right about that. And not much change in the order to speak of up the front, as Khan takes them through in about 3:17 and another 80-second lap. So good running at the front of this field, and going to drag a few of them under 10 minutes if they can hold this pace up. Amelia May still sitting in second for Nowra. Brooke Carson, we're back on the rail, plenty of cover for Sutherland. And then comes the Newcastle athlete, Haiwan Wilson, who just now moves up around the shoulder of Carson into third. And Carson now just starting to drift back in the field a little bit. One of the Mingara athletes in there behind her, Therese Orton, I think that might be. As they go through 3:57 in 1200.
Jess Burke just trying to get herself on to the back of the front pack at the moment. Sarah Baker just biding her time, almost a limbo situation. All the girls just happy to stay where they are at the moment, just getting into a nice rhythm. Sarah Baker's, again, one of those real top junior athletes. She's got a big range between 800 to 3K. She'll be one to look out for in the latter stages of this one.
Aspen Lambert of Sydney University also just going nicely in there. Therese Orton and Sophia Slater of Wes making up sort of the balance of that top group of 7 or thereabouts. But not a lot of changing in the order to speak of. It's still Khan and May at the front of the field. So starting to run in a couple of pairs, but Khan really hasn't been headed since the start of this race. And at the moment still looking okay to bring them in under that 10-minute tempo.
Laura, Jess has led from the gun here, and there's not a lot of moves being made around her. Is it time for her just to let someone else take the lead, or do you think she's looking fairly comfortable on the front here?
She seems to look pretty comfortable. It's always hard to know whether to just let someone take the lead, and unfortunately, a lot of the time people don't really want to take the lead.
Well, that's the
from
thing.
you.
Someone's got to be willing to do it, right?
Yeah,
How many times have we
exactly.
seen the elbow flicked and
Yes.
no one wanting to play?
Yeah.
She seems just to be chopping a stride a little bit,
Yeah.
possibly. I think she might want someone to help her out a little bit, but she's just kicked away. Maybe just realised, oh, okay,
No one's
I
gonna
may as well
help.
just, yeah,
exactly.
just continue on.
So 247, it slowed slightly from sort of the 82s that they were going through. So this will be pretty close to 10-minute tempo, I would think, by the time they get around to the 200. Might be a little bit outside of it, actually, now. But Jessica Kahn's still doing a good job on the front of this field, given that she's been given absolutely no help.
It's always
Amelia
hard.
May sitting in behind her in the order, relatively unchanged behind her. Highwin Wilson sits in third, and Baker now just on the outside, one out, one back in fourth. But plenty of them getting a lovely little trail in behind the field as we battle with people in the way of the cameras again. 6:45, so it's just slowed that second K down to about a 3:28 after a 3:17 first K. Not any fault of Jessica Kahn, who's made every poster winner so far, but they've just drifted outside that 10-minute tempo. And May, who has been tactically very good in that she's just sat on the shoulder of Kahn and let her do all the work, still doesn't want to go around her shoulder as they come up with about 8:50 to go. And a move now starting to come on the outside from
Teresa
Orton of Mingara.
Yeah, Therese has
She'll be
has
in the
done
lead with 800 to run.
She's done phenomenally well to make the start line here. She's had a couple of setbacks with her health, and just a little bit of a check there. Amelia May just popping out momentarily, maybe just clipping the back of Sarah Baker. But yeah, Orton has done. I'm not sure how she's made the start line, and I think she's been back running for a week. So this is a brave move from the Mingara athlete.
Kahn's fought back here. That's a really strong move to get back onto the shoulder of Orton. And now she does get the opportunity to let someone else do a little bit of the work, albeit we're starting to get into the business end of this race. But Orton with a strong move around down the straight with 800 metres to run. And May, I think that is...
Harding to lose,
pardon me, who's just gotten up around the shoulder of them. And now May gets in behind her. Kahn's still trying to go with them. Baker's going to run her way into third now as we head up with about 500 metres to run.
Yeah, Harding to lose. Said enough is enough. It almost looked like there was this invisible wall in front of the girls around about this time last lap. Kahn didn't want to go, May didn't want to go, and now down the back straight, coming in with 500 metres to go now. Harding to lose is starting to stamp her authority on the race. May is going with her. Baker is still right there as well. I think that's Eva Gore from Randwick Botany now sitting in fourth, with Kahn just slipping back to fifth. Here we go. Harding to lose will lead them into the bell.
So they're going to go through the bell in about 81 or so. They'd have to run a 71 to break 10 minutes. So you'd have to think that's not going to happen here tonight. But Harding to lose. May's got it around the shoulder.
That was a big move at the bell, and Harding to lose has slipped back. Baker's trying to go with her.
So Harding to lose didn't have enough to keep going the last lap. Needed it to end a lap early. But May, who's run a brilliant tactical race, sat on the shoulder of Kahn for the first 2 Ks. And that then let Therese Orton go around them and pick up that first lap of the last kilometre. Has run tactically very soundly, and with 200 metres to run finds herself with a gap of about 10 or 15 metres on the front of Baker. And doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to close up this gap to Amelia May of the Nower Athletics Club. Baker's going to try hard for Wes, but it's going to be too little too late. And a sound tactical performance from Amelia May. Lovely run from Eva Gall of the host club Randwick Botany to put away into third. And Jessica Kahn, who did so much of the early work, boxing on really strongly. Amelia May is going to try and get under 10, but she'll be just outside and will come home in about 10.04. Needed to do a bit more work in the middle of the race to get under that 10, but a good run nonetheless. Really good run home from Gall, who's gotten up for second over Baker, I think, and then Kahn, the early leader that did so much of the work, comes over the line with the balance of the field now just working their way up the straight. And they were pretty much together after 2K, but really strung them out in that last kilometre. So that's the field coming in now to round out the women's B race. The depth of running here at the 3K Champs just gets stronger every year as we now get into the absolute business end of proceedings as we get ready for the men's championship race. We'll run through this field quickly because they're already lining them up over the back. And there they are. Joe Burgess on getting ready at the start line there.
It's probably worth mentioning a couple of the names that we might not be so aware of. William Lewis from Victoria is going to be a huge threat in this race. He ran a pair of 341s overseas. I think the St. Kevin's athlete from Victoria. So he's really had a great season so far. Cam Myers from Canberra, one of the most talented 16-year-olds ever produced in Australia. 346 he's run over the 1,500 metres. He achieved that, I think it was at the Bankstown meet last season. Matt with Bailey Habler, I think, ran 347 in that race. So he is absolutely one to watch from the nation's capital as well. So there's Lewis on the inside with the Rising Track Club singlet. There we go.
So off they go in the men's 3,000 metre championship at the New South Wales 3K. Split start as it's been all night. We see the tactics here will be really important. We'll know pretty early on whether they're going to be any hope of getting under 8 minutes. And Joe Burgess, as he's done so many of the distance races over the last 12 months or so, getting right up near the front. The Rising Track Club man will lead them through the first 200.
Followed by Adam Williams.
And Adam Williams in there as well, 34 seconds through the first two. Not crazy fast, but should be enough to get them moving along here. And it looks like they do want to get on with it. JB just slipping into third place there. Drew Fryer, I think that is sitting in fourth.
Bailey Habler.
Pardon me. But
yeah,
really starting to string out here through the first 400, which is a good sign.
Yeah, a couple of little hand movements as well, just behind Habler. I'm just trying to pick up that athlete. I think it might be Cam Gorman in the Rev UTS Norths. But, yeah, Lewis. So he is certainly one of the athletes to beat here, leading the field through about 67 there, Matt.
Yeah, so really good first lap there from William Lewis. Adam Williams sitting in second. Joe Burgess, who really got on the front of a few races last year and grabbed a hold of them, got them going. Bailey Habler, then Stefan Music.
Sorry, that's Cam Myers from Canberra. My apologies.
Yep.
In fourth, now just moving into third. So here we go, the Victorian and the ACT athlete. We saw this in one of the lower races as well. They're really at the top of the field.
Yeah, so 100 seconds through the first 600, really getting on with it here. Stefan Music's been running strongly the last couple of years for Randwick, just sits on the outside shoulder there of his teammate. Adam Pike for Bankstown, but from Victoria, just sitting in behind them, the short figure there in the gold strip. And they're really starting to string it out here. The Schofield twins sitting in behind them.
Kieran Rushton as well there in the black of Run Crew. We mentioned his 8:12 from last year. He loves this event.
So starting to string out a bit now.
There's Drew.
Drew Fryer now just starting to get on with it. Wonder if he got a little check early, but it's further back in the field than you would expect him to be at this stage of the race. Coming up to the 1,000 metres mark now. And obviously we will be looking for 8-minute schedule. They're going to be outside that.
Yep. This looks comfortable for Lewis at the front, doesn't he? He's just having a look around.
Yeah. You wouldn't rule out 8 minutes at this tempo. So they're going to go through the K in about 2:45, and it was about a 66. So they're going to have to pick it up if they're going to break 8, which this race has done for most of the last 10 years. Adam Williams, this is a big run from him sitting here in second. Stefan Music just sitting up with them as well.
Cameron Myers as well. We've got quite a few younger athletes towing off the Opens athletes tonight.
If this turns into a grind, Joe Burgess will certainly have the strength to stay with them. That's Drew Fryer now starting to get up around
Oh, someone goes down.
Fall.
Oh, it's
Stefan Music. Yeah.
Bugger. That's really... He was looking really ominous, actually, in about third spot at the moment. So, shame there for Stefan. He'll try and tack on, spend a little bit of energy doing so. It looks like he has just got to, just seeing fourth from last at the moment, Stefan. So he's back up and running. Cam Myers just moving past the shoulder, easing past the shoulders of Lewis. That's a pretty good move there from Cam Myers. That shows you his intentions. He's feeling fantastic, Canberrian.
65 seconds through that 400, so dialed up a little bit, which they're going to have to do if they want to get on 8-minute pace. So Myers from Lewis, and sitting on the front of Fryer. Adam Pike, don't rule him out of this. The Victorian metric mile specialist. Then Joe Burgess just boxing and grinding on as he so often does.
Connor Whiteley is 6th at the moment. Adam Williams has just faded back to 7th for now, and just a little bit of a gap now as one of the Schofields just starting to try and bridge that. Luke Hintz as well from Kembla Joggers. Hintz has run really well at the 3 and the 5K champs over the last couple of years. That's Connor Whiteley just sitting in 6th at the moment. It is Luke Schofield, that is. It's really splitting apart now. Looks like there's a lead pack of just about 6 now. Luke Schofield really, really desperate to try and get on the back, but Connor Whiteley, his teammate, just losing him at the moment with Joe Burgess.
So Myers and Lewis still sit at the front of the field. They've done so much of the work. Fryer in behind them with Adam Pike. Now Whiteley starting to get up onto the shoulder of Pike. You can see the height difference there. And Joe Burgess of Sydney University really hanging in there as well. So some of the heavyweight clubs and states coming to the fore here as well. Through 2,000 in 5:30. So that's a bit of an improvement, but they're still going to have to run a very quick last 1,000 metres to get over the line. But the heavyweights getting to the front of the field here. It's Canberra from Victoria, from Randwick, the host club, then Bankstown, and a pair for the All Whites of Sydney University as they run up to 800 metres to go. Pike just getting a lovely little sit in behind them. Lewis has what potentially might be a telling look over the shoulder, but Myers controls it with 800 metres to run. Joe Burgess now trying to get up onto the shoulder of Fryer. Whiteley happy to hang in there and get a sit. No real moves coming yet, but they've got to be coming soon.
Can we just take a moment to see that there's a 16-year-old leading the New South Wales Open 3,000 metre championship at the moment. He looks 5-10 years mature than what he's running at the moment. This is sensational from Cameron Myers. Coached by Dick Telford, I believe. So from the right sort of training squad to be putting a race together like this. Will Lewis is right there on his shoulder. Drew Fryer, he's been hungry for this championship. He's finished about 8th or 9th a couple of years in a row. So he's really, really wanting desperately to get not only on the podium, but the New South Wales Championship here. Joe Burgess is making himself well known. Adam Pike just battling on the rail. So is Connor Whiteley. Drew Fryer is starting to clip the heels, though. He looks hungry, and so does Joe.
Oh, Joe just got a little bit of a check there on the inside from Pike, I reckon. Pike now tries to get across heels and get to the outside. Fryer now starting the run. 400 metres to run in the New South Wales Championship. The 16-year-old leads proceedings. Myers at the front of the field for the ACT. Drew Fryer on his home track for the Randwick Botany sits in second, and the early leader Lewis gets around the shoulder for Victoria, puts himself back into second. Joe Burgess with that 5 and 10,000 metre strength, getting up the back straight and going after them. Pike trying to go with him, and he'll have the speed advantage. Whiteley coming as well. 4 still in it as they go up the back straight. Pike makes his move for Bankstown, gets up the shoulder of them with 200 to go. Myers, the 16-year-old, is still at the front of the Open Championship field in the New South Wales 3K. It's a famous race. Can he add his name to the list of winners? No one coming at him at the moment. Lewis starting to fade. Adam Pike is the only one in with a hope, but the 16-year-old Myers with 50 metres to run, is going to become the New South Wales Open 3,000 metre champion and win a famous race at ES Marks. 8:07. Pike in for second. The early leader Lewis in for third. Connor Whiteley big run fourth. Burgess just picked in the last 200. Drew Fryer threw everything at him, but not enough as the rest of the field comes over the line. But what a win. What a win for Cameron Myers from the nation's capital.
Goodness me. A 16-year-old, that's unbelievable. We haven't seen that at this event since Ryan Gregson. I reckon 2008, there or thereabouts. That's the last time we saw an athlete at that age in the men's championship race dominate like that. That was phenomenal. What a run by Cam Myers. My goodness, if you didn't know about him before, you absolutely know about him now in New South Wales. Coming across the border, a superb move halfway through the field. Went round the shoulder of Fryer and Lewis and really didn't look back from there. Here comes the challenge from Lewis. Responded brilliantly. Joe Burgess is trying to go with him. Adam Pike had a sensational finish to win the New South Wales Championship. That's a great run by Adam, and he improves on his 5th and 6th performances at the state 1500. So really big step up there for Pike, and hopefully we see a lot more of him in the New South Wales distance circuit. But how good was Cameron from 120 onwards? He had a little look back and thought, well, I've got not only 1, but 2, but 3 gears. See you later, gents.
Just on the turn with 120 to go, you thought Pike with the 1500 speed might challenge.
That's a huge gap. Look at that.
In the straight.
That's 40 metres.
He put another gap on him in the straight. I mean, just when you thought that he might challenge, they just kicked away again. But no rest. Here is the field for the women's 3,000 metre championship. This will be just as good. And what a class field this is going to be, Jimmy.
Run Crew, Randwick Botany, Bankstown Sports, Newcastle Flyers, Clara Des from Victoria. It doesn't get much better than that. We saw the heavyweights go out in the men's. We're about to see it in the women's as well. Neve Allen, we know she's good. We don't really know how good. It's exactly the same as the position Ainsley Van Graham was in at this race exactly 12 months ago. But I think the athlete to beat, just because I see her every Tuesday night, is Holly Campbell. She is moving superbly at the moment. I'm not sure if you've seen much of her, Laura, but she is making 3-minute Ks look very easy at the ES Marks.
Well, I'm happy I'm not in there.
Oh, it's going to be a good race.
Give us a prediction.
Holly. It has to be. Just literally seeing her 2 metres flying by me every Tuesday night.
So off they go in the women's 3,000 metre championship. The men's was a cracker. Let's hope this lives up to its potential. Jayla Hancock-Cameron for Bankstown on the outside in that second phase of the split start has traditionally got this race moving the last few years. She's been very keen to get to the front of those fields and move them along. Ainsley Van Graan, as Jimmy mentioned, did the distance treble last season, the 3, the 5 and the 10, gets to the front of the field. Niamh Allen, as you mentioned, Jimmy, a bit of the wild card in this race. And Annabelle Miller for Katara South also jumping up to the front of the field.
There's Jess Noble as well, just singing second there for Newcastle Flyers. She just splits the Run Crew duo at the moment. Where's Holly Campbell? Oh, actually, Holly Campbell just skipped over the heels of Jayla Hancock-Cameron and, decides to move out on the outside. Smart move there from her.
So Van Graan to the front and just starts to work up the back straight for the first time. Holly Campbell wants to be right there and gets herself into third with plenty of running room. Jayla Hancock-Cameron sits in behind her. And it's one of the Sydney University athletes in there, just trying to pick up no inside hip numbers here. So bit of a challenge, but they go through the first 400 in about 66 or thereabouts.
So about 74.
Sorry.
Yeah,
76, I should say.
Van Graan, then Allen, then Campbell, Jayla Hancock-Cameron, and then I think that's Clara Des on the outside of Jess Noble. The top 6 that we thought that would be there. Sorry, Lucy Marvial of Sydney University, my apologies. So Lucy just sitting there at the moment. But really, the top 5 contenders, they were in the preview for a reason. They're up the top of the field.
Absolutely. So through 600 in about 150 or so. and the field moving along enough to string them out over the course of about 40 metres or so. The pace not too hot, and looks like the Ramwick pair, the run crew pair, happy to run together. And Laura, it looks like the nice little tactic there from Holly Campbell just to get plenty of cover in the early stages.
Definitely.
She looks really close to them. She's really tucking in behind Neve Allen at the moment. She looks full of running, as Holly Campbell. She ran such a good race at the National 3,000 metres at the Sydney Track Classic last year. She really took it to Rose and Nat Rule in that race. I mentioned a little bit earlier in the stream, but she's just so impressive in the confidence, the gusto that she was running with. We hadn't seen it in the seasons before that, but she just had a huge breakout race, and I think that really sort of flicked a switch, or maybe some point earlier in the season, just flicked a switch, and she's just become a superb runner since. I remember at Bathurst, just talking about Fryer's short course title, Matt, Holly Campbell and Ainsley Van Gran went toe-to-toe. Van Gran led the first 3 laps, and then Campbell just dropped the hammer and surged up hills like they were flats, and it was just so impressive to watch.
So coming up, that was through the 1K. Van Gran now still sitting on the front, but Niamh Allen has just drifted back into a slightly distant third with Jayla Hancock-Cameron. Holly Campbell looking absolutely poised up the back straight as they run through 1,400. So Van Gran, who won this race last year, sitting on the front of Campbell. Niamh Allen then in third. Jayla Hancock-Cameron just sitting on the front of Jess Noble. Then we have our first interstate athlete with Clara Dess and Piper Simpson just sitting in behind them. That rounds out the leading group of about 5.
Lily Winwood of Bankstown Sports just leading that chase pack as well with Lexi Gilmore of Sutherland Districts. They've got a race within a race just behind at the moment.
Another board member in that field, so good to see.
So Ainsley, I think she'll want the long wind up here. She's been really good on the roads, and she is really good over the 10K distance. Holly is an out-and-out middle distance runner, so Ainsley will be looking to start to turn the screws pretty shortly.
Realistically, at her best, Holly Campbell should win a race over 3K. So you would think that Van Gran, with that 5 and 10K strength, of course, has represented South Africa at the World Cross Country. Surely, Laura, she wants to grind this out and make
definitely.
Campbell work as hard as she can.
Yeah, that's the way to go in something like this. I mean, you can look at Campbell right now, and she's so springy.
Looks very comfortable sitting in there second.
Good gap opened up.
Look at the bounce she's getting off the track.
Yeah, I know. It's insane.
That was impressive. You just compare that to sort of Niamh Allen's gait, and Niamh Allen moving very well, but Holly Campbell is just absolutely sensational. That form at the moment, it's very hard to see how she's going to get beaten. Just getting onto the shoulder of Ainsley Van Gran, letting her know that she's there.
Perfect position.
So Campbell now starting to
make a move,
get onto the shoulder of Van Gran. Is this the right timing, Laura? If you're Holly and you've got that 1,500 metre speed, is this the right time?
She just looks so strong, I think. Whatever timing she's got is going to be great for this.
Goodness me.
The gap has opened, and it's opened quickly. Campbell's made the move.
She's running away with it.
With about 1,200 metres to run, and has put a gap of about 10 metres into Ainsley Van Gran already. It may be that Campbell is just too good for them tonight, and at her best you would expect her to be. She's going to come up the back straight now and pick up the 2,000 metres just outside of 6 minutes, you fancy. And Holly Campbell is going to take them through in about 6:08 or thereabouts through the 3K, and this may well also be a bit of a hunt for a time that wasn't going to come by sitting there until 600 or 400 metres to go. Good race going on in behind her for the Miners, and you expect that might be where we get most of the action in the tail end of this race, and a good little battle going on here in the back of the field, but we'll stick to the front where the championship is going to be decided. And Holly Campbell, in the space of 400 metres, has opened up a gap of about 50 metres on last year's winner, Ainsley Van Gran. In the course of opening that gap, has just dropped a casual 71.
Yeah, she's absolutely moving. I got her at about 34 for that last 200. This is so impressive from Holly Campbell. We could be seeing the making of the next national 3K champion right here. If she can put together a race like this in October, goodness knows what she's going to be doing in March. This is super impressive. 9:08 is what she ran in that bronze medal performance last season. So she might be having one eye on that now, Matt.
She struggled with injury quite a lot a couple of years ago, Holly. Obviously, her sister went on to represent Australia at the senior level in the steeplechase, and Holly certainly had as much ability as Paige, but just really battled for a couple of years with injury. Jimmy, you and I called a lot of races over the last couple of seasons where she's been on the comeback trail at open level, but this may well be the true comeback performance and a statement of intent ahead of the domestic season ahead. You can see on screen the gap just keeps opening up, and she's broken this field apart. Ainsley Van Graan sits in second, and Jessica Noble has put herself into a commanding third position as they come through and pick up the bell. 74 for Campbell, so just a little bit slower than that lap where she broke the field apart, but it's not going to matter. Van Graan threw in the silver medal position, and Noble sits in third. Liam Allen running a very strong race for Run Crew in fourth. Jayla Hancock-Cameron sitting very comfortably in fifth, just battling through a couple of niggles as I understand it. But the race is all about one athlete at the front of the field. On a home track for Randwick Botany, Holly Campbell is going to go through 200 to run in around about 8:35. She was the class of the field coming in if all was well, and she has made a statement of intent here tonight of her intentions for the domestic season ahead.
How good was that shot of her running past her home club tent? That was brilliant.
Cool. She's definitely sending a message, I think. Watch out.
She's going to be close to that PB. 9:08 something, I think it is.
Just outside, but don't worry about the PB. She sat very comfortably for the first 1,500. And when she decided to go, she was too good for them. Holly Campbell beats a class field and beats them convincingly at ES Marks. Wins on the home track, becomes New South Wales champion in 9:13 with a statement of things to come this season. Ainsley Van Graan not able to defend a title tonight, but she'll take home second position. And Liam Allen with a big last lap for Run Crew will give them two on the podium. Just Noble over the line in fourth, and then comes Jayla Hancock-Cameron to round out the top five in the New South Wales Championship. It didn't live up to the race of the men's, but in terms of class performances, that's the run of the night.
Yeah, that was superb from Holly. I kind of had an inkling that was going to happen because she's just training so well, and it's so good to see her put together the talent she's always had. She's 26 years old now, but with healthy legs, healthy mindset, training well, good squad, coached by Jeremy Rolfe. They have a great outfit here every Tuesday night. If you're around, come see Hole in action. Come through the gate. It is really, really something to witness, but it's just so good to see her put it together. And the way in which she did that so far out, 1,200 metres to go, she thought, this race is mine. And doing that to the defending New South Wales champion is even more impressive.
Well, we'll wrap up the night at what has been a fantastic New South Wales 3,000 metre championships. So join us here in the commentary box. Laura Roderick, big thank you for your company this evening with James Constantine here. Jimmy, a really big night. Great to have the 800 metres in, but the highlights unquestionably were the two 3K championship races.
Yeah, absolutely. Cameron Myers and Holly Campbell, weren't they absolutely superb? I hope you enjoyed that at home as much as we did here. I think Holly is run of the night in terms of the way in which she controlled the race, but you can't really go past Cam Myers at 16, can you? No. That was absolutely brilliant. What is the next 3 years? What has he got in store? World Juniors, surely. Surely we're seeing him on the World Junior team next time around.
A run like that, the problem is he's not eligible for the World Juniors is the problem until, I think he might now be for next
16,
year. But the problem is he's been putting in those sorts of performances that don't actually get him a start on the team because he's too young for a World Junior team. But, I mean, the field he beat tonight is a genuine, open, championship field. And I mean, they're only just outside 8 minutes, and they were slow through the first 1,000 metres. So, you know, you get him in that Australian 3K championship, which has been a great addition to the domestic calendar. Get a class field in there, and he is potentially in the conversation to be in the sort of the first half a dozen in that field.
Well, absolutely. And you talk about the athletes he's beating. Will Lewis, he's run 3:41. I mean, what sort of time is that getting you in terms of the world standings in the under 20? Like, if you're running, you know, he's been the 3:41 guy. If you're running 3:40, you're up there in the medals. So it's just unbelievable. We have to follow him. I hope he's going to come to the 5K. I hope he comes to New South Wales Opens, because I just can't wait to see more of that talent. And, you know, matching it with the Opens at this age as well is, like I said, we haven't seen it since Gregson.
There'll be a couple of milers meets on the lead into the next big New South Wales distance event of the season, which will be the Albie Thomas Mile. A little bit earlier this year. It'll be on the 3rd of December at the Crest. And then obviously into the Illawarra Track Challenge and the championships in the new year. But the New South Wales 3K Champs is always the unofficial launch to the New South Wales distance running season, and it lived up to the hype tonight. A couple of great 800-metre contests, and then a brilliant performance in the men's, and Holly Campbell, the class of the women's. Thanks very much for joining us on ANSW. A big thank you to Laura Roderick, who's joined Jimmy and I in the commentary box, and we'll see you at the Albie Thomas for the next broadcast, unless you're going to join us for a couple of the New South Wales milers meets on the lead-in. But the New South Wales distance season is officially underway, and we look forward to bringing you some more of it over the course of the year. Thanks very much for joining us.